Oh, you're awake. Is that the quote from Skyrim? I haven't played it enough. But hey, welcome to the Ultimate Schmoedown Aftershow, the only show on John the Outlaw Roca's channel that breaks down the Schmoedown each and every week, and we are coming off of a high-intensity week. Great match after potential matches of the year. I don't know. We can get into all of that after we introduce ourselves. First off, it's me, John Barr. Hello. Nice to see you all again. Hope your weekend is going well. I am your host for the week. Joining me, as always, on my camera right side, or I guess it's camera left. I don't know the order of these things. I keep trying to say things I'm not qualified to talk about. Boggs, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm all good, man. It's jam-packed week. The last week was jam-packed. This week was jam-packed. A lot of the June schedule is also jam-packed as well. These 5 matches. I mean, it's what we turn up for. So yeah, I loved it. And I can't wait to get into it with all you guys and the guests as well.
That's right. We have a couple of great guests that are going to be joining us shortly, but we also can't neglect to mention our third wonderful co-host, Soul. How are you today?
Hello. Excited to talk some Schmoedown. We've had some great matches this week, some perfect rounds this week, some sudden deaths this week. A lot to talk about.
Several sudden deaths. Oh, the deaths happened so quick. We're so excited to talk about these 5 different matches, including the 2 pay-per-view matches, which if you have not watched, you probably don't want to watch this whole show because we're going to spoil some things for you. But hey, while you're here, go ahead, like the video, leave a comment. As our producer, Mike Shea, has said in the comments, if you're here, go ahead and smashy that likey, buttony, gross. But do that regardless. Also, maybe consider, hey, if you really like us, you could always send us a Streamlab. You see the link right up there, streamlabs.com/The Ultimate Schmoedown Show. You can also send us some super chats. We will see those as well. And also maybe consider joining the Patreon, patreon.com/John Roca, where you can see not only this show, but all the other great content that John is making on this channel. And also, you get to be a part of it. But another way you can be a part of the show is by leaving comments on last week's episode. Every week, we like to look back at the comments that were left and pull some and read them out. And Soul is going to do that right now. Take it away, Soul.
Yes, first we have from Chris Taylor going, John Barr has raised the bar. Good show, panel. Some John Barr love here.
It's about time.
Yeah, it's about time. Finally.
A year.
Finally. It's been a year. Someone finally likes me. There we go. I'm allowed.
We got a little bit of more John Barr love here with Tushka saying 47-16. That time John Barr was used in a promo of the Cabrera versus Harper match.
Oh, and what a match to be included. I am beyond honored, beyond floored that I could represent our show by being a part of one of the best all-time Star Wars matches, but we'll get a little bit more into that later. We can talk enough about me later. So what are some of the other great comments about you two who deserve equal amounts of praise?
And we also have from Jeremy Miller saying, great show with Brendan and Ace. Also good to see Colin back. And we miss Colin.
Colin is great.
And then we have, Boggs, help me here with this name.
I didn't check. I think it's Hanish Joshi.
Hanish Joshi. Yeah.
I could take a crack at it as well.
Is Brendan the guy in Dead Body, the Haunting Hours show? Sorry, but I'm from India. I don't know him, but I like him in the show. Hey, we're worldwide, baby. We're reaching India.
Thank you so much for watching. And it's entirely possible. Brendan Meyer is, of course, an actor of note. Very possible.
I checked his IMDb. It didn't have that name on, but obviously, too, there's different names depending on which country you're in. So it's possible, maybe.
What was that movie that he was in with Nicolas Cage? Because it's entirely possible that that is just all that IMDb is able to talk about now.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Only Nicolas Cage. Only Nicolas Cage.
R.I.P. the IMDb message boards. Yeah, any other comments?
That's it.
All right, well, we're actually going to start with one of these pay-per-view matches. So again, if you didn't watch pay-per-view, maybe you want to step aside. But of course, we have to talk about this one match, and the only way to talk about it is with one of the incredible gentlemen that was a part of this match. Now, you might have known a thing or two about this gentleman, being that this is his very channel, after all. I think it's fair to call this gentleman perhaps the most notable figure in Schmoedown history. He is a multiple belted singles champion. He is a multiple belted teams champion. He is the godfather of the Finstock Exchange, one of the top factions this year round. Some folks call him the Goat Law, but around these parts, we refer to him as his full goddamn title, John the Outlaw Roca.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me on. Woo! Got a good night of sleep. I'm ready. Got a big old steak last night to celebrate a hell of a match, and I was very excited to come on the show with you all. Love the Ultimate Schmoedown after show. Great to have you guys on the channel. Been enjoying all the work you guys are doing. Hello, John. Hello, Boggs. Hello, Soul. How are you all?
I'm doing great. I don't know what I'm more jealous of, that beautiful steak dinner or your impressive new movie knowledge, sir, but my oh my, let me tell you, you had a hell of a Friday night, and we cannot thank you enough for the excellence that you brought into our lives, because that was incredible. How do you get your steaks cooked, by the way? We just gotta sort this out real quick.
It's medium rare. That's how you got to get it. Occasionally medium, depending on the restaurant, but medium rare if you trust them to get the right and not kill you by undercooking the steak. Yeah, you got to be smart about that stuff.
Yeah. I often go rare because I roll the dice with my own health. That's apparently where my standards are. But I think medium rare, that's more than fair, sir. More than fair.
Yeah, do your own thing, man.
Yeah, exactly. And we want to talk to you a little bit about you doing your own thing, which was being incredibly good at movie trivia. This Ben Bateman match. Obviously, I think we all knew that this was going to be one for the record books. But then we watched that promo, and then it kind of all came together. We were like, oh, snap. No, this is like potential history in the making right here with this match. Obviously, going into it, you've traded your barbs with Ben Bateman. Everybody's traded their barbs with Ben Bateman. He's kind of made his whole thing this year being, hey, nobody except the two guys who share the screen with me on my faction like me all that much. So what was kind of your prep into approaching a guy like this who likes to get under his opponent's skin every chance he can?
Well, I mean, let's tell truths here right off the bat. Ben Bateman doesn't get under my skin. He's just Ben Bateman. Like, I know the kid. I spent a year with him in the faction, saw all the holes in the man's game, saw all the holes in the man's character building, saw all his confidence issues when he plays matches. And as we saw last year, we saw his ability to choke away massive leads in the final round. So, he puts on a good show. He puts on a good air, but behind the scenes, he doesn't have as strong of a confidence as he might have you believe, or his unshaven bum of a manager might have you believe, for God's sake. So to me, it was more about preparing myself. And we saw Kalinowski take him to the woodshed, and as we saw today, whip him in the match. So he's not someone that people should be necessarily afraid of, and I wasn't afraid of Ben Bateman. He pulled some shenanigans, some hijinks behind the scenes. All I did was focus on myself, getting myself ready, getting myself as prepared as I could. Had some help along the way with doing that with some members of the Outlaw Nation patrons, and also some members of my faction from the Finstock Exchange as well. So I was very prepared for this match. And the thing is, and I want to make this very, very clear, I may have started out the year with 3 TKOs, but I'm still working on my swing, which, like Tiger Woods, I'm going to have some stumbles as I'm getting better. Now, I've played some of the best Schmoedown of my life over the last 2 years, but I've taken some tough losses, gone into sudden death and taken some tough losses, but I'm playing better than I've ever played before, and I'm understanding the game in better ways than I ever have before, and that should send a chill through everybody's spine. Last night, I was one Angry Birds question away from wiping out the stain that is Ben Bateman and having him choke again. The 5-pointer was on the plate for him. If he answers hard target, which 9/10 of the Schmoedown community knew was an actual 2-pointer, as a 5-pointer, he wins the match, but he choked it away again in the last round and had to come up with the jacket in the final round in order to win. So it was a hell of a match. I prepared my way, and I think we put on an excellent show.
Absolutely. I would say definitely Ben shouldn't be feeling too happy because you got to enjoy a steak dinner. And based on the way Kaiser was talking, it sounds like Ben probably had to eat a cooked Angry Bird for dinner last night. So definitely you got the better end of that deal. I also say one of the things I noticed before we get too deep into the matches, I think you had the best strategy when it comes to dealing with Ben Bateman and his shenanigans, because I watched you in the match and at a certain point, you would just go right to sleep. Right when that like second round started, right when he got to his 5-pointer, which you, by the way, for the record, clearly knew, 100% had that one on lock.
God.
You just dipped your hat and you just fell asleep. And I feel like that's the only way sometimes you could deal with a guy like that. It's just like, no, talk your mess. I'm going to catch up on some sleep.
Yeah. I mean, basically, that's it. You know, when you see, you know, he's going to string it out. You know, he's going to take his time. You know, he's going to do his history. We've seen that for 4 seasons now. The same tired old act of Ben Bateman waiting to the last thing. And guess how many belts he has with this act? 1. And barely 1. So this kind of situation here, when you look at it, is just funny to me that anyone could ever be intimidated by Ben Bateman. Kalinowski, he writes the book on how to completely eviscerate Ben Bateman, both in promos, back and forth, and in matches. You know, unfortunately, I've lost to him twice this year, but, you know, they were close matches and came down to the last question every single time. So it's just the way it goes sometimes, but I'm still figuring out still figuring out the game a little bit for myself here in this season 8 of the Schmoedown. But yeah, I mean, he's going to do his thing. So I knew none of his antics were going to bother me, because it's watching the little brother try to imitate what the big brother pioneered, created, and did and established. And so all the stuff he's doing is, you know, it's what do you call it? It's nerd trash talk, which really doesn't carry much weight with me. So I just put my hat on and went to sleep and caught my Z's where I could, you know. But missing hard target, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how you miss hard target and call yourself the action guys. That's really funny to me that you could miss an action question on your 5-pointer when it's teed up for you.
I mean, look, it's like I've always said, Roca is one of, if not the most notable player in the movie Trivia Schmoedown, and Ben Bateman looks like the least mighty boss town. But we've talked a little bit about this match in the abstract, so I'm going to toss it on over to you to get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of this match and how it all actually went down.
Yeah, so for round 1 and round 2, both perfect rounds. And I don't know when's the last time Roca's done 2 perfect rounds in a row with round 1, round 2. This is the best Schmoedown play that you've been doing in a long time. And so I definitely say, even with a loss, don't hold your head up high, because, man, you played so well. I want to know, going into your round 2, run away from Sean Connery. What was the decision behind that?
Yeah, that's a little bit on me. And I think if there's any you know, you always have hindsight 2020 when you win a match. You know, like I said, if I answer the Angry Birds question, there is no hindsight is 2020 situation going on. But I thought, you know, it's Sean Connery. There might be a Bond question or 2 hidden in there. There might be a Sidney Lumet question, you know, the Wind and the Lion, the Man Who Would Be King, Darby O'Gill, and the Little People. There are a lot of obscure films that could be asked about, or questions that could be asked about. And I know PJ has worked really hard to make the round 2 categories have some, you know, if you know the person or you know the person or the genre of movies, to be able to be gettable about 3 of those questions. But there's a 4th one that can be a doozy. So I didn't want to take the chance that I'd land on something, or didn't want to take the chance rather that one of those questions would throw me off and I'd surrender points to Ben. So I said, well, screw it, let's have some fun, take a chance, and spun and got 90s, which is actually what I put on the wheel to try to trip up Ben Bateman. So maybe I should have stayed with Sean Connery now in retrospect, considering how easy those questions were. And, you know, it's a lesson learned for anyone who's playing the game. Sometimes the easiest play is the most obvious play. And since it was the first time anybody had spun on Connery, there were probably going to be pretty general questions, and I should have taken that chance. But, you know, it's like I said, it's always 2020, only when you lose, not when you win.
And like I said, both of you going perfect in round 1, round 2. Boggs, what's your thought process on Ben Bateman spinning Sean Connery, going perfect through that round 2?
Yeah, you know, you're doing really well. Obviously, both getting a perfect round. So, both kind of stepped up and met the kind of anticipation of the match, you know, both going perfect and putting on a great show. But just got to mention a couple of things there that you said, John, that obviously Kalinowski, I find it interesting that there's 2 ways to deal with Bateman. Because he is a bit of an enigma, isn't he? So the Kalinowski way, which is him and Shannon attack him hard online, on the socials, on, you know, whatever. And then your way was to kind of not not play mind games almost, and just, switch off, don't get involved. So it kind of showed two ways there of how to beat him. I just found that interesting. And not really a question, John, but what I'll say is that we've been doing the show now nearly a year. So I think first week of July we dropped the show, dropped our first episode. So I just want to say really just yeah, exactly. Just want to say off the bat, absolute pleasure is for you to put us on, and without you and the producers Sean and Mike, the show wouldn't have come together. So just thanks so much for putting us on and giving us the opportunity to, because really you haven't asked us for anything in exchange or in return or anything like that. So just to do this off your back, which I don't really see any other kind of Schmoedown competitor letting other people do a Schmoedown show on their channel, that kind of thing. So I really do appreciate it, and people kind of talking about awards at the end of the year and things like that. I feel like we've already won, like being on this channel, that kind of thing. So it's our pleasure. So thanks so much.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're welcome. And the only thing I've ever asked you guys to do is a good show, and you guys have done that. It's grown so much exponentially over the last year. I'm proud to have the show on the channel. Christian Harloff likes the show, and pleasing the boss of the Schmoedown is always a good thing. And so to know that more and more people are hearing about the Schmoedown after show, to know that the Ultimate Schmoedown after show, to know that more and more people are wanting to come on. You guys are delivering great interviews. People are talking about it in the chats and in the Facebook group. That's all you can ask for. And I think you guys have been incredible in making that happen. And I'm really proud of a diverse show first and foremost, and a damn good show second. And so I'm proud of what you guys have done. Looking forward to see what more you create in the Schmoedown or what more shows you create that talk about the Schmoedown as well.
Certainly,
Thank you so much.
And one more thing, Boggs. Let me tell you what an enigma is. It's a person or a thing that is mysterious, puzzling, or difficult to understand. Ben Bateman is not mysterious, puzzling, or difficult to understand. He's pretty straightforward. He sucks at 90s. He sucks at classics. He sucks at anything that's in black and white. And so as long as you understand that going in, he's not that difficult to play. Again, I had him. Just had an animation question that we both missed. That's on me. I had made a goal of mine to study more 2000s animation, but got caught up focusing on so many other things that I didn't make it more of a priority. And if I had, I think I would have gotten that question right. And in the end, rode off into the sunset with that victory against Ethan. But he's not that difficult to understand. He'll talk himself up, but the rest of us players, we know he ain't all that.
Well, I was about to say we're getting a little bit too lost in like a circle jerk of being nice to the show. So I am glad that Rocha brought us back down to earth. Very much appreciated. I think it's about time we move on to not only round 3, but a round 4, mayhaps, Soul?
Yeah, I was going to say, so no Roma questions for Ben Bateman, since that is in black and white.
And in another language, trust me, he won't know it.
Another language, yes. So
what's
round
Bong
3.
Joon-ho quote about subtitles? Is it for him?
But we have our round 3. Both of you getting your 2-pointers. Both of you getting your 3-pointers. Both of you missing the 5-pointer. So when you got that Annapolis, if that's the way you pronounce that movie, I've never heard of it, never seen it. What was your thought process when you were like, okay, it's Navy, he's doing a sport. How did you get rowing?
Well, because it's naval, and I thought to myself, well, it's not going to be yachting. I know that, so I'm thinking something, and I almost went with swimming, to be honest with you, as a more individual situation. But it had been such a long time since I even thought about Annapolis. I remember it coming out. I remember Franco being the lead. This is around that time when Hollywood was really trying to make Franco happen. And I just never saw the movie. It's one of those films that just slipped through the cracks. JTE texted me last night. He goes, I was screaming at the computer, boxing, because clearly he had seen it. And that's where sometimes your age differences can get in the way, because that was a film that maybe people of a younger age remember going to see, remember coming out, and what have you, as JTE did. But for me, it was one that I was like, another Franco vehicle. I think I'll skip it. And it didn't get the best reviews. So what I felt, Soul, was like, damn it, why couldn't it have been a movie I kind of knew, or just to have a shot? I just wanted a shot to be able to get that 5-pointer, because I had a sneaking feeling that we were going to go to our 5-pointers. I didn't know how, and I didn't know who was going to be in the lead, but I had a feeling that there was going to be no TKO. and we were going to have to scratch and claw it out to try to win that match. And I'm telling you, I if I had chosen another number, maybe another question comes up that I could have gotten. And sadly, it was a film I just had not seen. And when I went to look at it on IMDb, literally the first 5 words are, "Kid goes to Annapolis Academy for boxing." And I was like, God, it's right there. So, those are the things you kind of, but it's the game, ladies and gentlemen. It's the game. You just sometimes you get a movie that you just don't know or you haven't thought about in a long time, like The Jacket, and it ends up burning you. Bibbs was very kind to private message me last night about that situation himself. And there's no bigger wealth of movie knowledge than Bibbiani, and even he will occasionally confront a film that he hasn't heard of or hasn't watched, and it bites him in the butt. So this is the game. This is the game.
And then we get to the 5-pointer from Ben Bateman. Hard target goes, I gave the year, gave the second build person. And I remember watching it with Sean, and Sean's like, that's hard target. And we're just there, and we're like, okay, Ben Bateman's doing his Ben Bateman thing of going another JTE. He's going to try to drag this out, even though he had a flight to Las Vegas. He was still dragging it out. So did you think he was dragging it out, or did you go, oh, he might not know this?
All I thought to myself was, well, the game's over. Who doesn't know hard target? That's all I thought to myself was, I didn't even think about him dragging it out, because he's going to, like I said, he's going to do his thing, and that's his character that he's developed with very hard work, his character. So to me, I was like, yeah, he's going to do his thing. So whatever, he's going to drag it out. Let him drag it out. And then I remembered how he dragged it out against me the last time we played, and he missed that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 5-pointer that was sitting there as well. So just right at the end, I thought to myself, oh my God, does he not know this answer? Because to me, and that's always what, and a lot of people say this is no criticism of the question writers. I think, by the way, the question writers did a fantastic job in both of these matches. They were certainly gettable questions, but not always easy questions. So that Annapolis one was a killer. But I thought to myself, all right, well, this is a pretty easy one. He's got it. And then just at the last second, I was like, wait a minute, maybe he doesn't. Is that real? And then he said whatever he said, and I was just floored. But you can't show anything when you're playing a tight game like that. So I was like, all right, let's go to sudden death. Let's have some fun. And the difference between this sudden death and the Ethan sudden death a year ago was I was ready for this sudden death. With Ethan, I was mad that I'd missed that 5-pointer. Once again, the ability to beat a top player, and I was a 5-pointer away. It was so frustrating to get that Men in Black question last year and then get an Annapolis question this year, but I was more ready for this sudden death than I was for that sudden death. So
yeah, you guys go into sudden death. You both get your Oscar Isaac question, the first one. You both miss the Angry Birds question, second round. You're getting the jacket question. Thought process there. You do use your one JTE in sudden death. Where was your mindset there?
Well, first for the Angry Birds one, as soon as they said a former SNL actor, I thought Bill Hader, and it's so funny, Ben wrote that. I thought that, but then I thought, no, he's in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. And I know that he wouldn't be the lead of 2 separate animated films that close together. Just wouldn't make sense in my mind. And so I thought, well, it's got to be Will Forte. Little did I know that it was the great Ted Lasso. I should have maybe taken a little, but I did get that repeat, and I was just trying to think of anybody else besides Forte or Hader, and unfortunately, Sudeikis did not come to mind. It's been a bit since he's been on SNL, so I just kind of put him in the Ted Lasso camp. Didn't come to me. But when the jacket comes, when the Adrian Brody question came up, gotta be honest with you, haven't thought about that film in forever, and so just couldn't pull it. I remember once I saw it on Ben's board, I was like, that's right. And I remember that being kind of the end of Adrian Brody as a lead in films. That movie did not do well. And I remember the weird cover with his face like screaming in the haze and whatever. And I remember there was a lot of controversy around that film, but I did not know that Keira Knightley was in it. Did not know. I think it was Oscar Isaac as well was in it. So just unfortunately was an answer I couldn't pull. And for whatever reason, Ben had written it down already and then asked for another repeat. So I don't know if that was a little digging the knife in or a little sportsmanship to let me try to have 15 more seconds to get the answer. I don't know. But in the end, I just couldn't think of it, and Ben pulled it. And, he got the victory. That's all that counts.
Yeah, and it was sad to watch because I'm always rooting for you, Roca.
Yeah, thank you.
In the Schmoedown, and so it was just that heartbreaking moment because you played so well. You even at the end, I think it's one of your favorite things to do is make Jen Sturger cry because you got emotional. So where were you there getting emotional in your post match, thanking your manager, talking about how much you put into the Schmoedown and how much you put into this match?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been working on my swing in the game for the last couple of years because I think that was my way to kind of reawaken my love of the game, was to start to really commit to it. This year, I've committed more hours to studying for my matches than I have, I think, combined in the last previous 6 seasons. I'm in season 8. I wasn't in season 1. I've been playing 7 seasons. So I would say this season, and we're only 6 months into this season, I have spent more time studying for the Schmoedown than I ever have in the previous 6 combined. And so to me, that's the approach I have now, and I've got a great crew of people coming up with fantastic questions, really challenging questions. I wish one of them would come up in a match in a critical moment so I could give them credit and win the match. That would be nice. I blame Cheryl for not telling me about Annapolis. Cheryl, that's literally where you live. So I blame Cheryl a little bit for the Annapolis situation. Maybe she'll rectify that going forward. But no, I'm just kidding. But no, I got emotional. I got emotional there at the end because, like I said, there was some really disgusting chatter going on behind the scenes about a previous match, and I won't grace it with any by repeating it. But it really pissed me off. It really upset me in a very, very powerful way. And it was obviously brought on by someone who's a hardcore sycophant, a butt kisser who was desperate for his Trumpian type leader to win. So coming up with any kind of conspiracy theory was what nutbirds do. They come up with crazy conspiracy theories and accusations. And when that happened, and that some people believed it in the game, that really upset me deep in my core and deep in my heart. And so to be betrayed by the people I play along with, by a couple of the managers who are in this game, to believe this, I thought was a massive betrayal. But it also speaks to the jealousy because none of them have achieved what I've achieved in the game. And so that's part of being near the mountaintop, ladies and gentlemen. We're not on the top. Dan's on the top right now, but I do see myself on that mountaintop. And sometimes people are going to fabricate stuff. Jealous little kids with no lives are going to create conspiracy theories, desperate for clicks and likes on their videos that are getting 100 whopping views a video. These are the things that they're going to create. And you feel bad for them. You feel bad for their parents for creating kids like that. And so in the end, you just kind of have to show up and show out. And that's what I did last night to prove to everybody that I am a straight shooter and I give my best every match and there's no shenanigans. And I feel bad for those people. I feel bad for what kind of a corrupt mind can come up with that kind of nonsense. You just hope they find the help they need. It's a shame.
Absolutely. I mean, as a premiere, dare I say, Schmoedown Aftershow, I think we can all agree that those stories that were made up about you were a reach at absolute best and a fairy tale at worst. Yeah. And like you yourself were saying, we have a lot of guests on the show, but I'm not introducing them with as long and as illustrious of careers as you, sir. And that's because you do, in fact, happen to know a little bit of what you're talking about when it comes to the Schmoedown. So make no mistake, there, even sometimes when we bet against you in matches, which I've certainly never done, we always know you're shooting straight. It's okay. The few times
somebody play the tape. Somebody play the tape.
Yeah.
And then go the records where then how I was so wrong. Use that one footage. There's at least one still of me on the show. I'm just like, just use that a bunch of times. But yeah, we love you here. We know that you're always going to be playing this game to the best and the most honorable of your capabilities, and we cannot thank you enough for that. Soul, anything else to take us out on when it comes to this match?
We do have a Streamlabs from Drunken Prayer, which I'm just going to echo what he's saying. Y'all are awesome. Thank you, Drunken Prayer.
Thank you, Chris.
I did see his comment that was like, I'm only here for John because he's like a fellow bald brother or whatever. And which I say, respect, sir. Respect. Hat off to you, sir.
No need for that, John. Now I'll say on the back of that, I don't know if I'm maybe a bit out of place of saying it, but as you said, people go after the greats, and that's how it goes. It's no surprise, like sometimes people go after a bit harsher with the minorities. Yourself, Chandru, who's got it hard, being the champs, that people pick them, other people do the same thing. And they get kind of ripped apart, that kind of thing. So to me, it's not a surprise, but yeah, it's good to see that how your composure throughout the match, how well you played. You just, held it together really well. And obviously, just not your time right now in the digital era, but, it's coming. Look how hard you're working. I've heard you say before, like the Schmoedown, the gods, the karma, kismet, whatever you want to say, will come back around. And next time you play, we're looking out.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, Boggs. I mean, I've had an incredible run in the Schmoedown. I've had an incredible time building what I've built in the Schmoedown. The whole nation was built out of what we did in the Schmoedown. So, you guys are talking on a channel that was built from the attention we received from the Schmoedown, and of course stuff I did at Collider and other places and what have you. But certainly the Schmoedown is is a big part of that for sure. So yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it works in your favor, sometimes it doesn't. And look, JTE and I got to the finals of that tournament, so we're not out of the mix to get into possible contention for those tag team belts. Lord knows, I think JT and I deserve a shot at those belts. And if I'd had a better first round against Dan and Ben, I think we'd have played Corruption and not them. And speaking of shitty first rounds, I saw this pasty-faced kid who beat me last night on something called the Gucci-verse, which I wasn't invited on. Apparently, I'm not allowed on my own manager's show, but apparently he was on there and he started saying how he thought Roca was going to miss first-round questions and give him the advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, don't let him fool you. Why don't you watch today's YouTube match that's out there for everybody to watch with him against Corruption? Watch Ben Bateman choke it in the first round. This is something we haven't seen in quite some time. Ben Bateman choke away a match in the first round in that tag team match. Instead of waiting for the last round, he went ahead and did it early. Maybe he had a plane to catch to another city, so he wanted to make sure him and Dan lost against Corruption. So, he talked all his mess last night. It's comical at best. And in the end, one animation question away from losing that match. So he can gloat and talk his madness all he wants, but we're 1-1 in teams and we're 1-1 in singles. So he has no advantage over me in any way, shape, and form, even though he'll try to push the narrative that he does. So, yeah.
I was just saying, that doesn't make. Did he actually have a flight to catch? Because what's he doing with 2 different shows booked? Like, that's simply poor planning. Sir.
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
well,
I would think someone in a nice suit at least knows a little bit about scheduling. Like, he's dressed like a professional executive assistant. Come on now, sir. Yeah. You got to know Google Calendar's a little bit better than that.
Well, not if it's the same suit. Then you have suspicions about why it's the same suit all the time.
That's what all I know is I've been to LAX maybe 4 times in my whole life. And if you think I'm running any sort of gamble when it comes to making sure I'm there like 45 minutes before my flight, you're out of your damn mind. My gosh. Well, sir, obviously your time is precious. You have many other things to get to today. So we will not be bringing on patrons, which is fine because I don't know if y'all know this, but John happens to do a couple of shows on this channel. So if you're a patron who wants to talk to John Roca, you're going to get your chance. Don't you worry. It's just not going to be today and right now. But one thing that we do always do with every single competitor, and we would be fools not to do this with you, sir, is if you have any sort of a lingering smack to talk, or whether you have just any lingering thoughts on the Schmoedown world at large to get out, we want to give you a little platform to say whatever for however long you'd like. So the floor is yours.
Did you watch JT defeat Paul Preston? That was beautiful, wasn't it? Listen, don't take a couple of stumbles, even from the lead dog. Don't take those to mean that the Finstock exchange going into the second half of the year is not going to have the same drive and determination and victories and TKOs and points that they had in the first half of the year. They are armed and ready. They are going to attack that dungeon, that dirty, stink, ugly, terrible smelling dungeon, and go in there and wreak havoc. And don't be surprised that by the end of the year, it is 4 faction mates who are holding up the belts by the end of the year. Gold Leader's been burning up the Star Wars division. JT and I are going to have our shot at those belts. And who knows? Maybe someone in our faction. I'm looking at Griffin Newman. I'm looking at King Khan. I'm looking at Craig the Barbarian. May run through the tournament. Maybe it'll even be JTE who runs through that singles tournament later on this year and challenges for the belt. The goal has always been to win the faction title and to be standing there at the end of the year with all 4 belts in the faction. We're going to stand there holding those belts on high. That is the goal. That has not changed. Yes, we've got a few stumbles here and there, but we're still in second place, much to the shock of everybody. And of course, you're hearing the grumbling behind the scenes of some of the players and some of the managers. They're getting too many matches. Why are they having so many matches? Let me tell you how the Schmoedown works. If you win, you get more matches. That's how it works. If you can't win and you can't manage your players to win, guess what? You're not going to get more matches. That's how it works. So shut up, stop whining, do a better job, and then maybe you'll get more matches. You know, there used to be a time where you pulled yourself up by your bootstraps and not whined to get that A when you deserved a C. And this is what we teach in the Finstock Exchange. I don't know what you all are teaching, but we teach that hard work and determination and a strong work ethic equals results. And certainly the first half of the year proves that. Now get ready for the second half of the year when we really drive the point home. Get ready. And don't let that bearded idiot who manages their faction in the dungeon. Was he doing blackface last night with that Jamaican? I don't know what he was doing. He was an idiot last night with half of his characters. Don't let him fool you with all this boisterous talk on the internet. We're coming for them, and they better get ready.
There you go. No shortage of fire when it comes to John the Outlaw Roca. Fire so good, I think we even got a Streamlab out of it. Is that right, Bugs?
Sounds about right, John. Okay, so it is from Justin says, he says, John, really proud of your Yes, Justin Turner, sorry. He says, John, really proud of your performance despite the loss. You will bounce back, and everyone else in the Outlaw Nation knows you will. Same goes for you and JTE in teams. Wanted to know, when did you come up with pretending to nap during the round 2? Loved it.
Listen, I always come up with things on the fly. I'm a very organic player. I play it as it lays, and whatever occurs to me in the moment occurs to me in the moment. And as soon as Ben started going back to his delaying answer things, I was like, I'll just catch a few Z's here while he does his thing. It's no big deal. And I knew every one of those answers, so just waiting for him to miss one of them or not get it. And I was waiting to swoop in and just take the answer out from under him. So very easy situation for me. And I just came up with it on the fly, just like the song. Hadn't practiced that, hadn't done it, and just pulled out the guitar sitting over here and felt like having a little fun at Bateman's expense. And I got Jen to laugh, so I think it worked.
There you go. John Roca, ever the impressive showman. That's why you're here on his YouTube channel after all. So, hey, maybe take it a step further. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/John Roca. Consider sending him some Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/The Ultimate Schmoedown Show, or for any of the incredible shows that happen to exist on this network. Mr. Roca, we are so thankful to have this platform to be able to talk about some Schmoedown, but also the fact that you would come on, lend your time as well. We really do appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to say or plug before we bid adieu to you, sir?
No, just saying to everybody who is watching right now, thank you all so much for watching. Please hit that like button and leave a comment if some of you are watching later on. A lot of you Schmoedown fans do, but don't forget that, I don't want to say don't forget. I want you all to know that we have made some changes here on the Outlaw Nation. We're becoming more of an entertainment outlet, as was kind of the intention of the beginning. We did do a politics show. We got the sports show. We got the pro wrestling show, but I'm making it more of a focus to turn it into turning into an entertainment channel. There will be more interviews, reviews, trailer reactions, all that kind of stuff. And for my patrons, get ready, because I am bringing back the Patreon shows. We're going to have conversations about what you guys want to see now that there's a little more time, because I don't have to study for Ethan for 2 weeks. I don't have to study for him, as I was already dreading that if I'd won the match, how many more hours I could commit to studying. Now that that's not going to happen, let's start opening the doors to doing more and more of that kind of stuff. And I've kind of streamlined how to get ready for matches that will open up some more time. So if you've been hesitating about being part of the Patreon, I'm telling you right now, come be aboard at the $5, $10 or above level, and you will get shows. You will get extra special content. When I have guests on the Outlaw Nation, I'm going to ask them to stay a little bit longer, and only patrons will have that kind of access. So things are changing and developing here as we go into our second year, and we want to make some changes. So come aboard, have some fun, send in some suggestions, and we'll create some magic here on the Outlaw Nation channel. And the new show, John and Wendy Explain the World on Fridays, is already getting great traction with a lot of people. So there'll be more of that kind of content coming. And there's a big announcement coming once I get it squared away about the podcast version of the channel and this deal that I'm in talks with this company to bring my stuff over to their feed and have them promote it with a bunch of other NBA, entertainment, and sports podcasts that have some notes throughout the industry. So hopefully next powerful step for the Outlaw Nation as we grow step by step every day.
Well, there you go. Now is the time to subscribe, folks. Now's the time to subscribe. Now's the time to up your Patreon level. John Roca, I keep saying thank you. I'm just going to have to say it again. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. Thank you so much for an incredible match. And we all know it will not be long before we see you on the Schmoedown once again. So thank you so much. And we look forward to your next match, sir.
Thank you. And shout out to KOrruption and JTE. Oh, shout out to Chance and JTE. You're going to have them on as guests later on. Congratulations, KOrruption, and take care of business against the Danger Zone. Thank you, Chance and Mike. And shout out to JTE for taking care of business against Paul Preston. JTE, remember when you all doubted him? Look at him kicking some ass. Eat some crow. Grill it up. Eat it because he's doing his thing. All right, I'm out of here. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your show.
Thank you, John.
Peace.
You too, buddy. Oh my gosh, that's right. Grill up some Angry Bird, folks. I'll say this. I've long bemoaned the all-rookie lineup of the Finstock Exchange, but I did not besmirch JT. That's one of the few people that I was like, no, he's good. So that's the one thing I have to my name as I just continue to descend further and further down our own personal rankings of matches. So with all that said, we do have some other matches to talk about. Before we get to our incredible guests, we got a Star Wars match to talk about, and it looks like it's going to be me covering this little bit of a Star Wars match. Now, I'm not too well versed on Star Wars, so I think I'm going to have to do something I did a little while back and go a little bit into hyperdrive for this one and talk about this match real quick. We are, of course, talking about Thomas Harper of the Den going up against Ace Cabrera of S.W.A.G. I mean, before I jump too deep into it, Boggs, I want to get your quick impressions of this match real quick.
So real quick, I mean, I did kind of laugh out loud when Ace addressed it in the promo that this ain't no Dragon Con. This is Upset City. I was like, oh shit, come on, Ace, let's go. But yeah, I'll just quickly kind of give my thoughts. So I just felt like, playing against someone like Harper, the level that Harper's bringing, I just felt that, and when the first round unfolded and he missed 2 questions in a row, I just felt like Ace had to just keep that lead. He kind of dropped one after that, after he had the lead, so they were kind of level throughout the whole match, and then they both missed one in the Sun and Death, and then kind of Ace missed another. So I felt like he had the lead, and it kind of fell through his fingers or slipped through his fingers. So I felt like he had opportunities to win throughout the match. But yeah, they were just neck and neck. 2 great players, great match all around. I just felt like it just slipped through Ace's chance. And that whole killing younglings thing, killed younglings. I mean, he said the right thing, he just wrote it wrong. I mean, it was painful to watch. You can see it playing on his mind, saying it in the post-match as well. But yeah, it was a bit of a painful loss for Ace. Some of my favorite players last year, Ace, Chance, Chandru, I don't pick against them. So it was a bit of a rough thing, being so ahead, then level, and then just watching it slip through his hands. Shout out to Harper, won obviously fair and square. But yeah, I just felt like Ace had the advantage and it slipped past him. So, which happens, is the game. He had loads of luck last year, with that Laura Kelly winning by 9 or 10 years, the Di Malanta missing the 5 points. So it all comes back round. That's just the game, right? So he didn't have the luck this time, and obviously, he didn't get the win.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just any given day. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. It all comes down to the day of questions. Soul, what general thoughts do you have to give upon this match?
So first of all, just give me a swag drip, please.
Oh,
Swag, drip, drip.
Carry
there you go.
Okay.
Now
don't know what
give me a the den growl. Does anyone who's got? I see Jesse Swift is in the chat. Jesse, thank you so much. We'd love to have you on again. Do the Mercs have any sort of like quick little snippets of like a slogan, a catchphrase? No, is it just
stay
like
quirky, my friend?
Quirky, I guess,
shoot, shoot,
sure. Well, Shazam.
banana gun?
One of them. Yeah.
I don't know. It's got to be one of those. Right? Banana gun.
But I just have to echo Boggs there with the killing younglings. I really was surprised that he did not challenge for the benefit of the doubt rule because he knew it, but he didn't do it, and I was like, okay, you guys kept it even, went all the way into sudden death, and I was rooting for Ace so hard. I will never, ever, ever bet against Ace. I'm always picking him no matter what, and it was a little heartbreaking.
Yeah, I think they wanted the exact quote right, which is why technically he didn't write it. So I understand why he didn't challenge. It'll be interesting to know some of the other players.
I Brandon, Hannah, and IG some crazy stuff though.
Yeah, true.
So,
I mean, that's kind of what we get into when it comes to the Star Wars and the inner geekdom division specifically. Is sometimes with a lot of these movies, with a lot of these questions, it all comes down to like super specificity. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So certainly, I think the ruling was fair. Obviously, there was no challenge by the SWAG camp, so I think we're all kind of agreed that you know it's a tough fucking miss, but it is a miss nonetheless for both of them. You know, I don't really have much to say as far as a round-by-round breakdown of this match. It was a lot of right questions and then a whole lot of sudden death. My main thing looking at this match is there's something to be said about whatever Schmoedown deities may exist and how they like to pick certain stories when it comes to the different divisions and specifically these tournaments. Last year, the story was Ace, the person who came off of an awful loss to Robert Parker in Inner Geekdom and then blew everybody away in Star Wars. Last year was Ace. This year was Thomas Harper. This year is all about Thomas Harper not really necessarily being the most hyped person coming out of Dragon Con, because obviously there's a lot of hype going for Marie Wilson, a lot of hype going for Zach Burkett as well. Certainly, though, Harper was one of the most touted people, considering that he was also, I believe, the first of the Star Wars competitors that were drafted. Just generally speaking, I believe he was the first of any Star Wars division players that were drafted. Maybe like Andrew DiMalanza got picked up in free agency. I believe that's how it works out. I've been wrong on this show before. I'll be wrong again. But there's something to be said about Thomas Harper. Again, one of these rookies where we see it every so often, where of all of the different people that kind of come into this game, fresh-faced, baby-eyed, looking to make a name for themselves, it's always interesting to see which people actually manage to do it. And this year, it's Thomas Harper. Kate was saying it in the post-game. Thomas was saying it. I think Winston and Ace were even saying it a little bit. This was the championship match. This was like DiMalanza versus Scrimshaw. This was like Ace Cabrera versus Laura Kelly. This was an intense, down to the very wire match. Admittedly, nobody got a perfect first round this go-around. That's okay. There were some crazy tough questions. We talked a little bit about that killed younglings quote. Thomas was a little bit more off than Ace, and we saw that feed into Thomas a little bit because he then got his Palpatine undoing question wrong, which Ace got right, but then flipped it around. Cabrera missed the nine num. Is that the name of people in this goddamn universe? Whatever. So it wound up being
legend.
Even.
He's a legend.
Of course. It wound up being even coming out of round 1, and then it wound up being even coming out of round 2. And then it wound up being even coming out of round 3, 28-28, ending with 33-32 in favor of Thomas Harper. There are some people that are on that other side of the Star Wars bracket that are looking real tough. But at this point, it kind of seems like this is Thomas Harper's division, and we're all just living in it. I don't know if either of y'all feel like I'm coming too far out of my lane to say that, obviously, considering that we do still have Laura Kelly versus Andrew DiMalanza happening. Not to mention Alex Damon is still there in the rafters like the Phantom of the Opera, waiting to be able to get his contender shot once again. But right now, it kind of seems like the story is Thomas Harper.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's well for the tournament anyway. I think Jeremy Miller just said in the chat there, like Full Faith Harper can beat Gold Leader or Zach Paquette. Kind of agree. I think Ace is the best bet to stop him, personally anyway. But obviously it didn't happen. But I think kind of Laura Kelly and especially Di Milanta, that's a different kettle of fish, a different scenario. So Di Milanta getting the 50 points in that first Damon match, and then I think he only missed a couple in the first round in this rematch. So I think that's a different level. Obviously, Harper ain't played a 5-rounder, not played a betting round. Just the overall intensity of and the pressure that can bring. So I don't know it's his division yet. I mean, that's soon to come, but we'll see. I think the tournament might be his though.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Sol, on either Thomas Harper or the Den as a faction as well? Because right now that's a faction that we can really see being bolstered by the particularly strong play of a competitor in a tournament.
Yeah, Thomas Harper, he's winning this tournament, like saying it right here. But I want to say how much I love Kate, and she makes me laugh. And the fact that she called Yoda yogurt.
Classic bit.
And then you have Sudoku instead of Ahsoka. So, I'm just looking forward to what other Star Wars character's name is going to have a new name next time Thomas Harper plays. And if Thomas Harper keeps winning, like I know he's going to do, and if he keeps, then we're going to have more and more Star Wars characters having different names, and I'm here for it.
I definitely feel like at the very least, me and Kate are cut from the same cloth. Like, I want to be able to have a show where we just kind of celebrate Kate and Tom, and then it's like y'all can hang out with Thomas Harper because y'all know about Star Wars, and then I'll just be hanging out with Kate, and we'll just have a lovely time together as friends. I'm so excited to see how the Star Wars.
Remember, Kate liked Boggs, though, so, I mean, you might have to fight Boggs for that.
That's fine. I'm always fighting Boggs. That's my entire life story. Is everyone just looks at me and then they look at pretty brown Boggs, and then all of a sudden I have to be like, "Oh shoot!"
Yeah, well, shouts all the ladies in the chat, by the way. No,
shout outs to everyone of any gender identity in the chat.
Sure.
We love you, no matter who or what you are. You're wonderful. Thank you so much for watching this show. Hey, did you know that you can sign up for the Patreon or the Streamlabs or the Super Chat? That feels like a weird thing to segue into, but regardless, we love everybody. Happy Pride Month. I don't know. Hey,
woo!
We got another champion joining us today on the show. Did you two know about this? Did you two know?
We heard.
Got an absolute
told us, so.
Delightful legend coming to join us to talk about 2 different matches. Oh, we're using so much of his time, and we cannot say thank you enough. He is a member of the current #1 contending teams, championship teams is the way I'm going to phrase that. Could have phrased it differently, but hey, let's talk about the fact that this is the man who won the Inner Geekdom tournament last year. Let's put some definite respect on his name for that. This man is a fearful competitor in 3 different divisions, and he has been so kind to grace us with his presence throughout the majority of our run as a show. He's one of our most recurring guests, and we cannot thank him enough each and every time he tunes in. Everybody give some love to the Cobra, Chance Ellison, joining us once again.
Hello.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We're always happy to have you on every single time, even if it's coming off of a loss, a well-fought loss regardless.
Thank you.
But a really incredible match coming up against Robert Parker. I was curious, just obviously you're still a newer Inner Geekdom competitor. How does this rank up as far as your favorite matches that you've played in Inner Geekdom?
That I've played? It's not my least favorite. Probably ranks like
fair.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, that's fair. Is your favorite maybe you going up against Mike?
Yeah, that's probably my favorite match I've played in the Inner Geekdom so far.
That's fair. Oh, that was a really fun match, man.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, this was also a very good match. I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but like every match this week was absurd, well fought all the way throughout. I could just go on and on about just singing your praises, but thankfully I have Boggs here who will also probably sing your praises, but will also go a little bit deeper into the match itself round by round. So Boggs, take it away, sir.
Yeah, man, let's do it. Yeah, thanks so much again, Chance, for coming on. I think maybe 4th time coming on now. So yeah, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, 4 or 5 maybe even.
I mean, you've got a number of matches in June, so we might see a bit more this month. Yeah. But yeah, getting into it, let's obviously go into it. Well, first of all, saying that I just want to know your thoughts that, people. I felt like you were the underdog going into this match, even though you won the tournament last year. You beat Parker doing so. But going into that kind of eliminator to fight for a number one contendership. So I want to know your overall thoughts, confidence going in, maybe being written off a little bit, especially, with a win over Parker. I just want to know your mindset going in.
I also had the same mindset I had going into playing the first time, where it's just like, yeah, this dude is like, he's good. He's really good. But now I know I can beat him.
Mm-hmm. So
that gave me a little confidence. We give a little confidence boost. Plus, like everyone's saying, he's gonna wipe the floor with me or whatever. I don't know if you ever watched me play, but I don't get wiped. It's never happened in my career.
Yeah,
like he's not gonna throw me around like a rag doll if he does Brandon Hanna or Ace or whoever the hell he plays.
True.
People clearly aren't watching your matches. They don't know what they're talking about.
No, yeah, they have the favorites, and it's their opinion. But going into the first round, both going through really well, and then you kind of come up to that which space station in which Star Trek movie, right? Obviously you got it wrong. Yeah, it was Wrath of Khan. Any thoughts on that question in particular, or what the kind of...
on that I was going back over between Wrath of Khan and First Spock, and I'm like, no, that's Genesis. But Genesis is the name of the thing they're working on. Regular one's the space station. That's something that's definitely in my notes. I misremembered it because I haven't really been focusing on stuff I've studied like immensely last season, because there's so many new categories that like something could sneak up on me, so I want to be ready for those. I'd rather be ready for those than something I invested a pretty good amount of time on. So yeah, I mean, that was not a great miss, but I also just don't feel that bad about it, honestly.
Yeah, a bit tough for round one, to be fair, but overall, you finishing 9, him being 11. But yeah, so any thoughts on the first round? Overall, Parker going perfect, having that 2-point lead.
Yeah, you missed the Star Trek question. I've only ever seen 3 Star Trek movies in my life, so I was like, I don't feel bad for Chance missing a Star Trek question.
Hey, most of them are good. Most of them are good.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, here we go. We have Parker getting a perfect round. Let's see what round 2 is going to bring. Let's see what's round 3, because I'm never going to count Chance out whenever he plays, because each time he's played, he showed how great of a player he is and that he can come back from behind. He can go really far in this league. We've seen it so much. So I'm never going to count you out when you're going to round 2 down.
Yeah. That's very true. I mean, and you want to talk about movies that are generally better. I can't speak to the general quality of Star Trek movies, but I can definitely speak to the fact that
wow. He's our producer as well. Sorry about that, Chance. Sorry.
Wow.
Have you still got the Boba Fett behind you, Chance?
No, yeah, it's still up there.
Oh, yeah.
It's still up there somewhere. But
I mean, look. We want to talk about the general quality of different franchise movies. Let's go ahead and talk about round 2, because listen, I love the X-Men. The X-Men are my favorite superhero team of all time. But when I think about the X-Men movies, really the only thing I love about those movies is Kelsey Grammer Beast. That shit'll never not be phenomenally funny to me. And that's the only thing I even think about with those movies, and I'm certainly not going to rewatch.
Not even Hugh Jackman?
Not even Hugh Jackman. Well, Hugh Jackman, I'll watch Old Man Logan, but that's like, that almost feels like a category in of itself. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I think about how great Hugh Jackman was in Logan, and then I think about his dumb haircut in the X-Men movies, and then I'm like, okay, well, that's why certain comics should only be comics, maybe. But I do want to ask, again, like, as someone who loves the X-Men and who can't stand most of those movies, I'm just impressed that you were able to get any questions right and just having to rewatch those movies. So I was curious, is there, like, how do you feel about the X-Men movies? Is there, like, a favorite that you have? Is it X-Men 2? That seems to be everyone's answer.
I like most of them. Most of them I think are pretty good. There's some I think are absolutely awful, but, like, I grew up, like, reading Marvel comics, and I remember some of my earliest memories watching a movie watching any movie in a theater were watching some of the old X movies. Like I remember watching X-Men 2 in theaters and seeing that whole Nightcrawler scene. That was like, that blew my mind. I'm like, that scene is amazing. And I watched it again. I think it still holds up. Favorite X-Men movie, if not counting Logan, which I do think is not only the best of the X-Men's, I think it's one of the best comic movies ever made. I think it's excellent. Probably Days of Future Past. I don't know. I go back over between Days of Future Past and First Class. Both those films I think are incredible. in First Class, I think is one of the most underrated scores for any comic movie of all time. I think the score is immensely fantastic.
That's fair.
But yeah, no, like I've seen every one of the X-Men movies. Some of them multiple times. There are a few I've only seen once, but most of them I think I've seen multiple times. So I felt very comfortable in that category. I'd seen like what happened with Spider-Man, but I'm like X-Men, there's not as much like that. Not as much minutia like that, but even if there is, I think to pick it up. So I had no qualm taking X-Men.
Yeah, and certainly you didn't, because looking at your performance, you got 9 out of a possible 10 points.
Yeah.
That's 0 questions missed. That's most impressive. But then you just happen to go up against Robert Parker, who I think, if we're being honest, had a lot more to prove coming into this match, considering that you are the Inner Geekdom tournament champion of last year, who beat him. And then he was like the rookie that jumped on stage during an Alex Damon match and then only went 2-1. And we love him, and he's great, but he definitely had a little bit more to prove. So, I mean, looking at round 2, Boggs, 18-21, not a bad score, but it just goes to show how hungry and angry Robert Parker was.
Yeah, man, he didn't slip up, right? That's the moral of the story. And, Chance missed, up until the 5-point, he missed 1 question. So, yeah, when you're playing against someone who doesn't slip up, he doesn't give you an opportunity, you just have to go perfect as well, which is hard enough, especially in this current iteration of IG, with, like Chance is saying, you haven't had the opportunities to go back to watch the older movies necessarily. So, yeah, it is particularly in this iteration, to go perfect. I think that is really impressive, even though obviously it is 3 rounds and obviously not as hard as a 5-rounder, but it's still like the variety of movies and how deep they go is still majorly impressive. But yeah, going into the third, obviously Chance has got his 2 and his 3, the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes one, and the Cyborg question from Justice League, and then missed the 5, the Paul Sorvino one, right, in Rocketeer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall thoughts on that one, Chance? Have you seen that recently, or I'm guessing no? But do you have any affiliation to that one?
It's funny. I watched it for the first time last season. It was after that. It was after my match with Babs, where I got that Rocketeer question in round 1, and I'm like, shit, I know PJ loves that movie, so I really should go watch this. And man, I was excited to watch that, because like that was I was like a fresh watch. I'd never seen it. And I'm like, I'm ready to go in. I think this movie's gonna be great. I'm gonna love it, because people like rave about that film. And I watched it. I'm like, it's fine. Like it's okay. But yeah, like I meant what I said in my post match. Like my 5 seem to come from a string of mediocre to just terrible films, and just those don't stick with me as easily as things. And the thing is, the Rocketeer, I don't think that question's like impossible. I just think that in that moment, like I'm like, okay, it's a robust Italian man, and John Polito came in my head. I'm like, and like I couldn't think of anything else. I'm like, let's just go with it. Whatever. I got nothing else.
Yeah.
And he's in that movie, but he's in that movie. He has about as much screen time as Paul Sorvino, but he's the guy that owns the hangar. He's not the gangster. So I'm like, I was close. I was really close.
Yeah, nearly.
And I don't feel bad missing that.
Yeah,
I mean, Rocketeer is good. Definitely Rocketeer. That's also one I only just watched recently. Like, it's one of those ones where it's like it missed me when I was like a kid, and then when I was finally an adult who paid for Disney Plus, like that's one where it's like, oh, finally I'll watch it. It's good. But it's again one of those things where it's like it's all subjective, and it all comes down like when you watch what when, especially with Inner Geekdom. I think there's so many movies where it's like, oh, this was very much like a movie I watched as like a kid. Because like I remember there were certain days where it's like I faked sick so I could stay home and watch the like X-Men movies. Like I would get my dad's like Spider-Man DVDs and just like pop them in and watch them one after another, and that was always a treat. But it's like I also haven't watched a lot of those movies again recently. And when you're professionally trying to remember things from movies, sometimes it's just that movie. It's just like, how recently did I watch it? How much do I remember like the general actors in it, or like specifically who everybody played? So it's it's one of those things where I think it's more than fair to be like, yeah, I remember a guy from it. Like that's still impressive enough just to remember more guys than just Timothy Dalton.
Yeah, Timothy Dalton, Alan Arkin, Terry Quinn is Howard Hughes. There are details from that. There are details from that movie that I remember. But yeah, the gangster who's in like the beginning of the movie never comes back. It's just not, after one viewing, it's just not something I'm gonna pull, especially because I didn't care for it very much. So yeah, it happens.
That's fair. Yeah.
Before we're gonna do the Oyama and Erwin match with you as well, Chance. But before that, you've got a slew of other matches coming.
Oh, yeah.
Plus I want to know your thoughts as well on Parker and Chandru. You know, that matchup. Who you think is going to win to play Mike, which is next week, I believe, on the pay-per-view on Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I have Parker take this one. I think Chandru's on a downswing. Parker, he's got momentum. The dude's a freight train now. If Chandru comes to play, I think he can make it interesting. I think there's a good possibility of sudden death, but I think it gets put away by the fives. It gets put away because Parker hits a 5.
Yeah, did you think it was because you haven't had an IG match since the title match, which is probably, I think, obviously had in December, maybe filmed in November. So it's a long time not playing, the new iteration.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, did you want a kind of IG match before going into this, or was it just were you?
Would I have like
yeah, like a warm up before?
Maybe, but where I am, I don't get. Where I am in the rankings, I don't get easy. I don't get warm ups. I get thrown right into these tough matches right away, and that's something I got to deal with, and that's fine, because that's just like I'm a victim of my own success at that point, which is fine. But yeah, no, I have no qualms playing Parker, no qualms playing anybody. They want to throw me back to Chandru, I'd do it, just because there's not anyone I feel like I can't take on the victim. Yeah.
That's the right way, I think, right mentality. But so I think he's playing Lon as well. Chance is playing Lon. Obviously, she's a resident swag lady over here. So what are your thoughts on between Lon and Chance?
You straight up threw Soul in front of the train. Oh my god!
You got Soul. Come on, don't be shy. Come on, tell us who you got. He's here. Let's see.
I've said this behind the scenes. I guess I'll say it now in front of the camera before we even get to it. I'm going Chance.
There you
go. Sorry, Lon. Sorry, Winston.
No,
sorry,
it's smart.
Aisha.
It's smart because the last thing swag fans should want is for them to win. You got it. Look, football fans will know this is their time. Gotta start tanking now. Got to get that sweet number 1 draft pick.
That's why I ignore Philly teams up until the year where it's like, oh no, this is the year? Great. Now I'm watching. I had a great time at the Super Bowl 2018, and then I didn't watch anything else.
I was just going to say that.
Look at your success.
And then the other match, obviously, you've got as well chances that, you got a title match, chance to become a 3-time teams champion. Mike's on fire at the minute. Shohei Sazamdo, obviously going perfect in a 5-rounder in teams, first time that's ever been done, I believe. So thoughts going into that, maybe I think it's fair to call you guys the underdogs that match. But yeah, what are your kind of mentality going in?
I mean, we don't have the belt, so yeah, we would be underdogs. No, yeah, I think that Brendan and Bibiani, they're great players. They're a great team. Like, no one's going to dispute that. But I, excuse me, I really do believe Mike and I are the better team, and we have to be the better team in order to beat them. And I think that watching their matches, like, sure, they got 53-53. Like, that's the best you can do in a teams match. Chances they replicate the performance, slim to none. So I'll cross the bridge when I come to it. But yeah, I feel good about a chance against Shazam because Mike and I want those belts back. We really want them back. So yeah, Mike and I, we're ready to take it to him this time.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure you shoot up in the rankings if you did win that. Plus, I don't know, who knows, maybe the questions might be a bit more, it might throw a few trickier ones in. Because, if you're getting perfect throughout the 5 rounds, I'm assuming. So I can't see them going perfect again. That's extremely unlikely. But yeah, all the best for that one as well. But yeah, let's get into the Oyama and Erwin match. John, are you doing that one?
I am indeed. And thank you so much, Chance, for joining us for this one as well. We really do appreciate your time. As we talk about, and I'm just going to expose my own personal bias, these are 2 of my favorite players. I love Ethan Erwin. I've talked about he's one of the few people that I've had the actual pleasure of meeting in the real world, and he's every bit the kind and goofy gentleman that he appears to be on the screen. And then Paul Oyama, obviously someone that came in just on fire from the second he jumped into the league. And even though he hasn't held the belt in a minute, he's still been putting on great performances left and right. And then you start off with a perfect round, and it's one of those things where it's just like, all right, we're really in for it this time around. I was curious, Chance, as well, like as someone who kind of was in the fan league, saw Paul Oyama as he was coming up, and then also was a fan of the game, so just watched Ethan Erwin come in and then suddenly just kind of decimate everybody in front of him. Was there somebody that you had kind of going into this match where you're like, I think it's going to wind up being this person that comes out on top?
I mean, I know both these guys that came to the league. My very first singles match was against Ethan Erwin, so I'm like, yeah, I got that experience there. Yeah, no, I think, but I know Paul. I know what work he puts in, so I had a feeling he was going to take it. He was personally, I was rooting for it because I'm close to Paul. But either one of these guys could have won, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, again, coming out of that round one, it really seemed like it could be anybody's game. What's interesting is then looking at round two, because obviously when it comes to round two, first off, Ethan and Sam, a little bit unclear if that was even their wheel, which maybe they should have just kind of bit the bullet on because it landed on M. Night Shyamalan, who maybe they could have known a little bit more about than say
and
choice.
And that Shyamalan was on the right wheel.
Oh, gotcha.
They flipped it over. After
wow.
Yeah, had wrong.
I didn't even notice that. My God, shows what I know about production.
They had the wheel from Roca's match on first.
Wow, look at that. Look at me and my silly bad brain. But unfortunately, they did get opponent's choice on the correct wheel. I mean, they were kind of looking for that other wheel at that point, but getting Audrey Hepburn as the opponent's choice and going 6 out of a possible 8 points, only letting up 1 steal opportunity, that's very impressive in of itself. But then you look at Paul Oyama, who spun movie release dates as his first pick and decided to stick with it, and then wound up with a 5 out of a possible 8 points, 1 less than Ethan Erwin. Also, Ethan able to get a steal out from under him with the Tom Hanks 88 movies. So it wound up going like Erwin 16, Oyama 15. And we've talked about it, I think, more so with Star Wars matches, where it is like always kind of like that one question that gets down to like the nitty-gritty minutia. But this was kind of one of those moments where I was kind of like, in my mind, oh, that might have been it. That might have been just like, as good as both of them are being, that might have been just the 1 point give that decides the match. Chances that you're kind of understanding looking at it, or were you kind of just like, it's still too early to tell?
No, at that point, like, not in full panic mode, but like when you have a slip like that, you're down 1. But if you're still within 1, you keep it competitive. So you just gotta, just go with your numbers. Hope you get something that you know well, and hope they get something that they don't know very well. But like, it's not like you're down by 1 going around there. It's not a reason to hit the panic button. It's not a reason to go full stop.
That's fair, and Paul definitely did not do that. To his credit, this was another one where it just went back and forth. The silliest and baddest brain in the game, you know it, buddy. Round 3 just went back and forth with some fairly tough questions, some fairly easy questions as well. I mean, I'm never going to be mad when I see Lego movie questions get asked because I love the Lego movies. But it just kind of went back and forth with, the Synchronic, which, again, is one of those movies that, like, it came out during pandemic, which I feel like all of those movies just kind of blended together for me. So the fact that anyone's able to pull anything that came out in the last, 9 months, I'm always going to be impressed by. But then it just came down to that last 5-pointer where, again, it's like both of them knew it because both of them are at the height of their game. But you just see, Oyama immediately kind of beating himself up as Ethan manages to get that J. Edgar question correct, leading Alf with 26-25, which means now we know Ethan Erwin is going to be going up against Ben Bateman, which is going to be a very interesting match because I think if there's one person in particular that mind game strategies simply will completely bounce off of, it's going to be Ethan Erwin. I feel like that guy's going to be too busy vibing in Hawaii to be like, oh, what did someone even say? His internet's, God bless him, but his internet's going to be so bad that he's not even going to catch it until 3 seconds later. So again, I mean, kind of looking at this match, so I'm going to toss it over to you first. Looking at how both Ethan and Ben Bateman played in these 2 solid matches, where are you leaning at this point if you had to call it right now?
If I had to call it right now, because you guys know how I feel about Ben Bateman in this league. So Ethan Erwin all the way. All the way. Let's
there
go.
You go. And Chance is someone who just beat Ben Bateman not too long ago. Obviously looking at...
Thank you so much, Chance. Thank you so much.
And we do all... yes, from John Roca himself earlier in the show, we do all thank you for doing that.
The Schmoedown thanks you. Really.
Yeah, exactly. But kind of thinking about the fact that he has still been able to kind of keep his name relevant in the singles division, do you think he's going to be able to have what it takes day of to go up against someone who is as scary of a Titan as Ethan Erwin is?
No, I don't.
That's fair.
I'm fully expecting to get Dan versus Ethan number. Who the hell is even counting anymore?
Oh my god! And so many classics in Dan versus Ethan as well. But yeah, like oh man. Bugs, what about you?
Yeah, I got two thoughts really about this match, which I'll direct to Chance. First of all, the multiple choice one that Oyama went to about which the franchises when it was obviously Superman, Star Wars, James Bond, what release date. That reminded me of your question that you got with which actor was nominated twice for the same role, that kind of thing. And it's like a complicated question around two. I just thought sticking on release dates, it's been spun a few times this year. I kind of thought that something tricky would kind of come up, and it got that was kind of the the reason kind of you fell behind. So I just want to know your thoughts on that question in particular, being I thought quite tough for round two. Yeah.
That was actually a study session question for me recently. So I knew that one instantly.
Okay.
And the thing is, like, because I remember that because that was the year like a lot of part threes came out because it was the third Star Wars, third Superman, third Jaws, third Friday the 13th. Both of the last two were in 3D.
Okay, right.
So yeah, I'm just like, yeesh, that like the whole time watching this like 83, and then he got there after like a year, but he got there. But yeah, no, I like that they're mixing it up like that because I find it a little boring when the States and all the questions just what year did this come out or what year did this come out. Like I like more questions like that, like hey, give like hey, these three directors, what year they all make their directorial debut, or what year did all these franchises come out, or I think that movie release dates, which is a category that a lot of people consider themselves really bad at, and people who consider themselves good at it are like think they're really good, test them. Throw some more curveballs like that, and I like that. So I do think that was a good question to put in for a release dates run.
Definitely. And then just on the back of that, I think Oyama said something really interesting in the post match for me, where he addressed that he felt like he knew that 1983 one and the other one that he went multiple choice on that Ethan stole, the punchline one. He felt like he could have gambled on both. And he mentioned if he got them wrong, so he lost by a point, right? If he would have got them both wrong and Ethan stole them, he would have been maximum 4 points behind. So it wouldn't have made a difference if he'd have done that. So he felt like he should have gambled. And I just thought that was super interesting. Like it doesn't really matter if you lose by 1 point or 4 points. If you still hit your 5 and they miss your 5, it was worth a gamble. And I just thought that was super interesting. You're kind of thinking that in the second round, you think if I go perfect, like you're thinking like 2 or 3 steps ahead. And I thought that's like real A player mentality to have. And I just found that super interesting. Like I can't imagine rookies kind of doing that mental math in the kind of match when the question's being asked, when the pressure's on. He's thinking kind of what's the end, like kind of 2, 3, 4 steps ahead, and being confident you're going to get that to that point. I just really like that mentality. And like other players must be, I think that's an A-level thing to think of. Like, even though you second question in the second round, but you're thinking of the end 5 point now, staying within 5. I thought that was super interesting. So, that was it really.
There you go. Fair.
And
enough.
You saw him doing the math. Yeah, he was saying like to Winston, like, oh, I need to do 5 points here. I need to he's constantly thinking the math of the match, which we see players like Chandru do that, where he's counting as he's playing. You physically see him do that. And anytime that you have a player that is like literally counting, doing the math, what is it that I need to perform in this round, this round, this round? It's so interesting.
Yeah, I do hate to be the bearer of bad news, but unfortunately, folks, if you want to be able to be the best at movie trivia, you're going to need to know a little bit of math. I hate to say it. I hate to be the guy, but like years of D&D have taught me that math is in fact helpful sometimes in certain situations. But one other thing that's really helpful to you as just a viewer and being able to be a part of shows that you like is joining the Patreon, patreon.com/John Roca. You can also send us Streamlabs and super chats so you could be featured on the show, much like the people who are part of John Roca's Discord that have brought some questions for our dear, wonderful guest, Chance Ellison. So I believe you have those on deck.
Yes, I do. So first we have from Jeremy Miller saying, is there another division you think should be added to the movie trivia Schmoedown that you would like to play in? So it doesn't exist currently, but you want it to be added.
Not really, honestly. I think we're pretty good special division that like the consummate geekdom. Star Wars is going to get trickier as it goes on because of the limited pool we had to pull from. And I think that any league we start to add is going to run into that same problem. So I think that's just let's just keep it as is. I don't feel like we need like, as much as Jess and I would like, I don't think we need a crime thrower league because who the hell wants to do that? That's boring. Don't need a Marvel league. We're good. We're good.
Those are the kind of things that work really well for Patreon matches because obviously I know
They
Marvel.
do. No, yeah. I would love to see more Patreon match like that. If you want to do like a Patreon for it, I think it'd be fun. But yeah, as far as like regular league play, having its own belts, like I don't think we need a horror division. I think we're just good. I think that's kind of why the yearly matches and like the free for all for horror is so special because like they happen so infrequently.
I remember it was so funny when that Top Gun match got released. Like I almost thought like that was some sponsored content as well because that did come out like right when like there was a lot of buzz, particularly around the Top Gun Maverick. Is that what it's called? The sequel? Yeah. So I was almost like, oh wow, yeah, exactly. Jeremy Miller, we're right on the same wavelength, dude. Yeah. So I think it's always fun to be able to kind of keep certain things nice and special for the Patreon exclusives.
Definitely. We have from Drunken Prayer going, have you seen that fans have unearthed 20 missing minutes from the Super Mario Brothers movie? Do you think this will make it a better movie or make it just as bad?
No, there's nothing you can add to that film to make it better. That film's horrible.
Release the Mario Brothers cut.
No, please don't.
Release the cut. Damn Donkey Kong.
Which from the new IG categories, which are the kind of worst movies that you, or like which ones kind of a struggle to watch?
Of the new slices?
Yeah. Or just any in IG generally.
I mean, so I have yet to watch Son of the Mask again. I watched that once when I was a kid, and then I still have PTSD from it. So that's no good. I'm not a big fan of the Matrix sequels. I think they're both pretty bad. They added the Terminator, so Genesis comes with that, and I can't stand that film. I think it's horrendous. Most of the aliens that aren't 1 or 2 are pretty bad. Well, not most of them. Like 3 out of the 4 sequels that aren't 2 are pretty bad. Right. But Planet of the Apes, the franchise itself isn't awful, but Beneath is especially bad. And Tim Burton's down at Planet of the Apes. It's downright awful. But no, yeah, like this, I think that it's really hard to top Catwoman as the worst. The Son of the Mask is probably the worst because I refuse to go back to it. But yeah, no, there are some good contenders. There are some good contenders that got added.
Yeah.
And we definitely saw it with JTE too. They were asking Catwoman's name, and she's like, "Is it that comic book name, or is it because it's Patience Phillips?" Because they go a different route for that movie.
The number one thing wrong with that movie was that they...
Yeah, definitely. Number one wrong thing. But I found it funny that showed up in the regular match with JT, and I was like, one of the worst IG movies in a regular match.
Any more additional questions, though?
That's it. Let's bring the patrons in.
Yeah.
Well, we actually already heard from him earlier on in the show because he's always a treat. We're here to welcome on Chris, a.k.a. Drunken Prayer. Chris, how you doing, dude?
Hey, brother. How you doing?
Hey.
How you doing, John? My fellow ball brother.
I'm doing all right, buddy. How about you?
Not bad. Chance, I usually bring on a show and chill, but because you're not a Star Wars man, I don't have anything to bring on for you, so I'll just bring on a Spider-Man bobblehead instead.
I like Star Wars. We can bring Star Wars stuff on.
I think he's even got a Darth Vader right behind him, right behind his gun.
He's got Boba Fett behind him.
So you do.
Let's see Star Wars. Come on, bring it out.
I can't. I've got my Simpsons t-shirt on tonight. I can't.
Let you off.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chance. Sorry.
It's all right.
Oh, sorry. I just had a genuine question. That's a genuine question that came up. Like, you and Mike seem like you're really good friends. And do you think that helps your Schmoedown chemistry? And say if you and Mike, God damn you, if you two break up, don't do that to me. If you and Mike broke up, who would you pick for your new partner in the Schmoedown? If you had someone with that personal relationship with.
Yeah. No, I do think that in teams, a big element that helps is chemistry. Like the better that you know your partner, like the more familiarity you have, the better you know their strengths, their weaknesses. Else you can, like, the bigger your partner, the better team you're gonna be. Not just inevitability. If I ever did leave my first choice would probably be Oyama, because I already had the familiarity. I've actually known him longer than I have Mike, so I think that I have to work less in order to build that rapport and build that team chemistry, and I think we would do damage, but not planning to leave Mike anytime soon.
Okay, second question. When are you going to steal Mike away from Shannon?
Oh, wow.
I'm only joking.
Runaway bride. Oh, my. Chris, thank you so much for coming on with the questions. We always love to hear from you, buddy. I don't know if we'll see you later on in the show as well, because we do have another guest, but hey, thanks so much. It looks like we might have another Discord question here as well. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yes,
my elven eyes see?
I came in super late before the notes were made, so I apologize, Maria, in the chat. She has her question saying, as a holder of a green belt in Goju Ryu Karate myself, I can't help but notice that you use the yin-yang of the hand and fist quite often in the matches. Does it help you in any way handle the stress, and what discipline do you study?
I feel like we talk a lot about this every time you're on, dude.
It's legendary in the game. Yeah.
I used to study Tai Chi. I don't practice anymore. But yeah, that honestly, like, that came about because I just needed a way to keep my hands on screen, and this is very natural to me. And I can use that. I can use that in the effort. I don't have to think about it, and honestly, it's comfortable, and it's just a very easy way for me to return to. So yeah, it's not really a stress thing. It's not really utilization of myself. It's just a way for me to keep my hands on screen in a way that doesn't look awkward.
Yeah. Hey, and you heard it here first from one of the most practiced and the most disciplined and one of the most comfortable players in the game, obviously coming off of a bummer of a loss against Robert Parker, but also coming off against a great win against Danger Zone. And as much as we, are talking about the week by week, we also want to make sure that we give you the credit that is deserved for that incredible match against Danger Zone. And now we get to that point in the show where we ask our guests if you have anything you want to say to anybody in the Schmoedown, if you have some sort of promo, or if you just have some nice words. You want to say something sweet about somebody, maybe your fellow faction mates. I don't know. I'm not here to decide what you say. I'm just here to give you the floor to say whatever is in your heart. So go for it, good sir.
Anything I want to say. That's tough.
That's right.
I feel like I said a lot last time I was here, but I'll say it again. Look, June, you're getting every flavor of chance. Ellison. Get me in IG, get me in teams, getting me in singles. And look, IG didn't go my way, but still playing well, still doing what I do. And I'm gonna keep doing what I do. you think one loss in IG is gonna stop me for this year? Absolutely not. So, Lon, get ready, because I'm gonna wreck your shit. Shazam, get ready, because Mike and I are gonna wreck your shit and take the belts. And anyone who thinks they can step to me and make me look like a fool, you're wrong. And I'll make you look like a fool instead. Because I'll say it before I say it again, I am the biggest threat to anybody in this league. Why? Because I can do anything you can do, but better. Doesn't matter what it is. Singles, teams, IG. I feel like something in Star Wars, I'll do it. Doesn't matter. And I'll do it well. Because that's what I do. And you're going to see what I do when I take 1, 2, 3, many belts I feel like taking.
Oh, there you go. Ooh, I felt that. You heard it here first, folks. Yeah. June is the year of wrecked shit. It's a whole year of it. He's going to fit a month of a year in wrecked shit. Chance, thank you so much for coming on, dude. We really appreciate it every single time. Is there anything you want to plug real quick while you're here?
Yeah, find my Twitter, Instagram at Chance_91. Check out my podcast, Stars by Chance. We just filmed our episode on Scream. We had Carrie Lane from Popcorn Talk Network talk with us. Great show. That'll be out later today. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for having me.
Hell yeah, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. We hope you have a lovely rest of your Saturday, and we wish you nothing but luck when it comes down to that Shazam match, man. Good luck to you. All right.
Thank you, man.
Oh, my goodness. That's going to be an intense friggin' match. But wouldn't you know it, gang, we have a whole other intense match to be talking about. The fun doesn't stop here, gang. We got a fifth whole other match featuring a whole other formerly belted champion, but someone that we cannot discount in any way, shape, or form. Much like Chance was talking about, if you doubt him, you're going to get your shit kicked. We got another famous shit kicker right here, coming off of beating 2 members of the same dang team, another one of the linchpins of the Finstock Exchange, the number 2 faction, whose ranking only keeps going up and up when it comes to those points. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so excited to have back returning on the show, JTE. JTE, how are you doing today, man?
What's going on? Let me try to frame myself up here. Oh my god, look at this! Look at this! I gotta get a curtain for this thing. I have like lines on my face.
Oh,
it's still working. Still working on the studio at home, but don't worry, I'll get it there.
Dude, don't worry about it. My overhead light is burned out, and it's been burned out for like a month. So all I have as a light source is just my one lamp on my desk. So don't you ever feel like it's not enough, sir.
There we go. All right, what's going on, guys?
Not too much, other than we're just continuously in shock by how much you win. You're so impressive, good sir. I mean, I was just saying, you're coming off of now win against both members of the Outsiders, going up against the Den, and you're kind of 2-0 right now. So how are you feeling as well? Like, obviously, you know, Finstock Exchange doing great in the rankings, but especially just the fact that you've been, unfortunately, just giving it to this one faction in particular. How are you feeling coming off of this second week?
It feels great. You know, I would rather be going into the third round with the lead, but, you know, I seemed like I used all my perfect rounds in those first 2 Rushmore matches. I struggled a little bit with the Gremlins here, and then State of Play is one. I think if I would have maybe used a JTE, I could have pulled Russell Crowe. I just immediately Ben Affleck came to mind because I just remember him in the trailer. And I know he's not like the lead. I think I should have listened to the question a little better. They were asking for the lead. So that was a brain fart. But besides that, listen, if I get, like I said, as long as I get you to your 5, I have a chance. And at the end of the day, the 5 is the hardest question in the whole match. And if you can't land it, you're not going to win some matches. He had a great guess. His guess was so good that I second guessed what the answer was because I was like, Powers Booth. And he said Michael Ironside. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, that could be Michael Ironside. That's why I'm sitting there at the end of the match. I'm just like, I don't know who won right now. But thankfully, it was Powers Booth. And I came away with the win. You know, like I said, you just gotta be steady. Even if you don't do great in the first round, do the best you can in the second. I always know I'm going to have a good second round. I'm always going to have a good first round. I'm not going to be like down 10 points going to the third. I'm always going to have, I think, a chance to get to my 5. So, and as long as you do that, you got a chance.
Yeah. Hey, one missed Russell Crowe question is not going to determine who is the master and commander. Breaking down the match in particular, I believe, Bugs, I'm going to bounce it over to you, good sir.
Yeah, sure. Again, thanks so much for coming back on. You were on about a month ago, JT, so appreciate that. So just going in, obviously, you've had the combat singles match, then you've gone on the teams run. It seems like you're having loads of fun. It seems like you're enjoying yourself, particularly in the 3-round format. I just think that your style of play is just really suiting the kind of 3-round format. And I thought kind of facing off against Preston, poor Preston, a good sparring partner to have, you know, with your cutscene with Kate, of course. It was obviously hilarious. But yeah, then going into the match, obviously, like you said, you just missed the 2. And then, Paul's gone perfect. So, just overall kind of thoughts on, Paul going perfect. At any point, when you're playing against someone who goes perfect, is there any kind of hesitation in your mind? You're thinking, was it playing on your mind, or did Gucci help at all? Because I love the way Gucci's more passionate with you, I feel like. So like some others, he seems to be more invested. So
yeah, we have history, man. I'd love to go for perfect because I want that extra point at the end. It's that extra point, if you get a perfect round and you say you don't get a perfect round, another opponent does, that's a extra point that they could add to the end of the round. But I always feel like, again, I think second round is probably one of my stronger rounds. I always feel really good in second round. I don't know about the first round. Sometimes I think you're getting so many different categories and you don't know what it's going to be every time. So like, to me, when I hear release dates. You know, I don't think it's a big secret. A lot of people in the league struggle with release dates. You're always going to be 1 or 2 years off, or you're going to hit it perfectly. So, and I think in my 2 Rushmore matches, there weren't any release date questions. There might have been one, but I don't think there were. So, like, it mixes up. So you never know what you get. But when you get to that second round and you get a category that you like, I very rarely spin off the first choice unless it's something I'm really, really, really not feeling good about, because I don't want to get something worse. I don't want to get opponent's choice. I feel like if you get anything but opponent's choice, you should basically stick with it, because who knows what could happen next. But it also depends on the wheel. There's a lot of strategy goes into it. But for me, I feel like I'm all around really good player, and there's no huge weaknesses for me. So I'm always like second round. I always feel good going in. Even if I'm down in that first round, I'm like, get me to that second round. I feel good. And I feel good in the third round too.
Yeah, and it shows, man. Like, I think you've really setting a good example for the rest of your faction as well. Obviously, rookies, it must be really, I don't know, influential to see like you and Rocha going out and killing it, and playing great. But going into round 2, you kind of both get Preston lands on new releases. He gets 7.
Mm-hmm.
You also land on Halle Berry, surprisingly, and you stuck with it. And you also got 7 as well. But John, overall thoughts on the second round? Any questions for JT?
I mean, not in particular. It's very interesting to hear again, kind of you talking about the new releases, where it is always going to be kind of like that real close gamble. And Paul Preston, again, to his credit, good player. Like, I definitely don't want to diminish what Paul is doing, especially because diminishing what he did would then diminish what you did, which was come back with an incredible, again, second round, you did exactly what you needed to do. You know, you kept it like fully even with him on Halle Berry. Second time that Halle Berry's Catwoman came up within just this past week. And so to the whole Schmoedown community, I'm sorry you all have to think so much about Halle Berry's Catwoman. I don't wish that on anybody. So God bless you all. But yeah, man, again, like you were saying, like 13-16, it's always interesting talking about matches like this, where there are some matches where it's like the second one competitor misses one question, it kind of becomes that thing of like, oh God, that might have been the one moment. Yep. But with a match like this, where it's like, it's, continuously competitive, even with a slightly larger lead, knowing that in round 3, like those are the high value questions where it like is still truly anyone's game. Is that the kind of thing where it's like, do you have a preference? Like, I mean, obviously you probably have a preference in winning or being like completely tied up as opposed to like being down. But at this point, like you've been able to pull out so many upsets. Like at this point, do you feel like anything really upsets you as far as a score going into round 3?
You just want to, like I said, you just want to get them to your 5. Like, I don't want to be, the worst case scenario is they have such a big lead that you have to answer your 2, 3, and 5 just to get them to answer something. I've never been in that position. I think I'm, a pretty strong player overall. So I put teams in that position, but I've never been in that position. That's a tough position to be in. But I think when I lost to Liz Shannon Miller, I think I was the only time I had a horrible round 2. Ridley Scott, they were such deep cuts. I was so happy when I got Ridley Scott. I was like, I've seen every Ridley Scott movie, and then those questions were tough, man. I still haunt me to this day. I think that's the last time, that was one of my last matches, I think, before I left for a while.
Yeah.
That was a tough one. But even Liz, I remember, came up to me after the match, was like, wow, you got some really tough questions. So, yeah, I just, again, go in, get them to your 5, and then it's a 50-50 shot. One of us has to name it, one of us doesn't. And most of the time, I seem to pull my 5s out. Like last night's Ben Bateman Roca match, I knew both their 5-pointers. And I was like, and Roca definitely had the harder question. Annapolis is a movie that nobody talks about. It came, it went. Tyrese, like, I remember it had boxing in it only because I'm such a big boxing fan that anytime any movie has a little bit of boxing, it's on my radar. So I knew it was boxing. And then Ben Bateman to miss Hard Target was unbelievably shocking to me, because John Woo's first film, Lance Hendrickson, and Ben Bateman's he's the action guy, the action army. I was just like, I thought it was a layup, and I couldn't believe he missed it. He went with Surviving the Game, which was a harder pull. It's almost like he overthought it. Like, Surviving the Game is the same, very similar premise with Ice-T and Gary Busey, but I don't know why he went Surviving the Game and not Hard Target, especially with Lance Hendrickson being an answer there. That was shocking to me.
Hey, not everyone is able to pull together a round 3 quite as well as you, sir. Because as much flack as I give Tom Dagnino, as much flack as I'm going to continue giving him, if we're all being completely honest, he's right when he says there are few people as good at answering a 5-pointer, if there's anyone, as you, sir. And so, Boggs, let's just real quick talk about this round 3.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just want to know, JT, if as you are a big boxing fan, are you going to watch the awful fight tonight that is Mayweather against Logan Paul?
I am, but I'm not paying for it. I will find a loophole on the internet to watch it. There's some ways. There's ways to get around actually paying. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah. Don't blame you. How much is it in the
Just come
States?
here to Miami to see it, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Like it's probably like $60 or something like that. I can't. I mean, I won't. If I'm going to pay that much money, I need some real fighters actually fighting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not
if I'm going to pay that much money, I'm going to pay somebody to just completely take Logan Paul out. Like that's really
nice.
what I want.
There you go. I mean, I just feel like Mayweather just doesn't have the power to like probably knock him out. He's just going to dance, jab, punch him. And Jake, we'll see, man. It's interesting. It's like a circus. It's like the circus is in town. There's an alligator fighting a bear. Let's see what happens.
Exactly. And then
that's fitting an alligator here in Miami, right?
There you go. Perfect.
There you go. And going into the third round, as Gucci said, as a confidence booster, I guess even if you lose, you still win somehow. But you're going into the third. Obviously, you hit your Unforgiven. Yeah. It's a mindset. It's a mentality.
Yeah, it's a mindset and attitude. Yeah,
it's a dossier.
It's a way of life. Yeah, all that. And then obviously you've hit your Unforgiven question. You've got the post. Tom Hanks won Spielberg, and then you've pulled out that New York. I've never seen it personally. I had no clue. So, was that an educated guess, or did you know that?
It was 100% educated guess. I've never seen New York, but I mean, it's the only film I think I haven't seen that De Niro and Scorsese has done. I think Liza Minnelli is the lead. I knew that. For me, I immediately said, I know it's nothing from the 90s or 2000s because I know all his 90s, 2000s onward. I've seen them all. So I started going back to his earlier stuff, and I was like, okay. I started the 70s, Mean Streets. Alice doesn't live here anymore. So I'm started going through like his filmography in the 80s, early to late 70s, and I'm like, New York is probably the best guess I had because I knew it had something to do with music. I know De Niro plays like a sax or something in it. So it was very much an educated guess. So if you watch that match, I said it. I felt like I had a 80% chance of hitting it, and I did, and I was very happy. But I still haven't seen the movie. I'm going to have to go watch it these days.
And Mark was just like, you got it right. Like there wasn't like great play. I was like,
ooh, thank God.
Super confusing. Yeah. And then
it's that thing where you're in your head. You're like, okay, New York's my guess. If I'm going to use all my JTEs to go through his filmography. I mean, he's done documentaries about the Rolling Stones. Right. So I'm just like, is there anything else that, are they really, because they try to trick you sometimes in these 5-pointers. Like you think it's one movie and it's another one. So I really just took my time to go through his filmography in my head. And at the end of the day, the best educated guess was New York.
Absolutely. And just going into Preston's round, he's got the Moonstruck Share question, John Legend and Common Song, which is Selma. And then he's got that tough Red Dawn question, the Powers Booth one. So I just want to know your kind of thoughts on the, Paul being ahead all match and then missing that. Him. He was on the show as well a couple of months ago saying how much he's studying now, being the kind of leader of the den. All came down to that moment and it just didn't go his way. And then seeing at the post-match, I love a passionate Gucci. I don't know what it is, especially with JTE. Seeing that extra, I don't know, just extra joy when you win is for me, it's like shut up them. He shuts up them haters when he gets that win, and it kind of comes out. I do really like that. So So any overall thoughts of the third round and any questions for JT?
Yeah, I was talking to Christian after the match later, and he's a big Red Dawn fan, and he's like, "Oh, I thought Paul was going to pull it," and he got as close to pulling it as you could. Michael Ironside and Powers Booth are like interchangeable. They're like to the point when he said it, I was like, "Oh snap." Yeah, if you really love Red Dawn, and if you're an 80s kid, I think maybe that's not the hardest question. But if you didn't grow up with Red Dawn and you're not a fan of that film, I think because there's not a lot of other celebrities. I mean, you got the main core, the main kids, Charlie Sheen, Patrick Swayze, Jennifer, the girl from Dirty Dancing, I forget her last name.
Gray?
Yeah, Jennifer Grey, yeah, from Dirty Dancing. See, you would have beat me in the Schmoedown if we were playing. So there's a lot of great, like, character actors throughout the movie, and he to me, like, it's a pretty big role. Like, the kids are on their own, and this parachuter comes in and kind of teaches them some stuff. So it's a pivotal role. It's not like a one scene he's in and out. And Powers Booth is, he's an actor who's a great character actor that appears in a lot of movies. So I really just think it comes down to, and this happens a lot in the Schmoedown. Like Annapolis, like I said earlier, I love boxing. I knew boxing was in that movie. I knew immediately what the answer was. But that's only because it hit my, it hit the part of the dartboard that I just love, my sweet spot. And if Red Dawn's not in your sweet spot, then that's gonna be a really hard question, probably.
Yeah. Please, Sol, go ahead. Any thoughts on the third round? And Paul being, I thought he was pissed in that post-match interview. He was hiding it well, kind of not really, but he was upset.
So going in this match, I was rooting for JTE. I had him in my points. So thank you for having me go up in the points for you.
No problem.
By picking you. But it was one of those heartbreaking moments. You're up in each round. You get to your 5. You're like, okay, I just need to hit this and I win. And then you don't know the answer. And you get as close as you do, like as JTE was saying. And so, I would be pissed too. I'd be like, I was right there. I was so close and I missed it. So, it was pretty much like, that sucks so much when you're up and you're up and you're up and you lose. It's like any sports game, when you're up most of the game and then you lose at the end. It's like the Falcons in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. Like, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, the first round is you're jabbing. Second round, you're throwing to the head, a couple to the body. But the 5 and the 3, like the 2, those are when the haymakers got to start going. Especially that 5, that's a knockout
championship
punch.
rounds, right?
Yeah, the 5 is the knockout punch, and if you land it, you win. You don't, you lose. So
honestly, it mostly makes me want to see Paul Preston go up against Janine, because those are both two people that have been putting on just like powerhouse performances and still taking like the losses, and so that's a match where I'm just like, oh man, that's going to be a real like edge of your seat type match that I would love to see. But
we'll talk about edge of the seat matches. I think they kind of announced, it's a Patriots Civil War, whatever you want to say. You seem to be playing Jeff.
I don't know if that's 100% confirmed yet, but it looks like what it's gonna turn out to be. I played him once before. I beat him. Jeff, I think, is a better player. I think we're both better players than we were when we played that first time. It's weird because I think he knows my weaknesses. I know his weaknesses. I think what he's probably going to do is try to strengthen his weaknesses, and I'll strengthen my weaknesses. And we definitely have. I don't want to say too much to give him any edge, but when we worked together for so long, we definitely knew what our strengths were. And I think a lot of times it comes down to the luck of the wheel, luck of the questions. Will it be something that lands, in my sweet spot, or will it be his? And it's gonna be a close match. It'll probably go down to the 5. Who knows? Might even go to sudden death. Yeah. It's gonna be a close one.
It's only fair after taking down both of the outsiders that you get a shot at the in-Snyder.
It felt so good. I wish I could have taken out the outsiders in the tournament, but they didn't make it.
Oh, next time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And hey, listen, again, we all have our favorites. It's all subjective. At the end of the day, you all are great, but there's no one I'd rather see get KO'd by the Finst TKO exchange or what have you than watching you KO Jeff Snyder, Boggs' favorite player. Yeah. Few things would make me happier than that. Yeah, I know, Boggs, and that's why I want to see JTE, one of my favorites, take down one of your favorites. It's going to be full TUSA Civil War on top of Patriots Civil War. It's going to be great.
But he's got Gucci as well, so that's I think JT's a favorite. So.
Oh wow, there you go. Wow. Oh boy. Now you're making it hard.
Yeah, I feel bad for Jeff only because of the situation he was in with Andreyko. Yep. You never want to lose the belts that way. You want to go out, with your team. You want to go out the way you came in. So it's just bad luck. Andreyko says he's going to come back. I don't know when. But yeah, I'm curious to see where he goes. If he's trying to make, how far is he going to go in singles? I don't know. We'll see. We might have to crossroads there.
Fair enough. Sol, I'm going to bounce it on over to you. Do we have any Discord questions, perhaps, from the wonderful people who subscribe to patreon.com/John Roca or send in Streamlabs or super chats? Am I doing a good job?
You're doing so good, John.
Things? I don't know.
I'm so proud of you. But yes, we do. We have first from Jeremy Miller. What is your favorite martial arts movie?
That's a tough one. I mean, Enter the Dragon, I grew up watching. But I think, the level of choreography has advanced greatly since then. I think Enter the Dragon was the gateway drug. That's the one that got me into it in the first place. I'm going to say, that's a really tough question. I love so many martial art movies. I think Legend of Drunken Master is pretty phenomenal. That last fight was jaw-dropping, amazing. I love Jackie Chan's just physicality in that movie. So Legend of Drunken Master is up there. I think The Raid is I'm going to go with the first Raid because I've seen it more. Yep, Raid Redemption. I need to see 2 again. I feel like I've just seen 1 more. 2 has some amazing fights. The kitchen fight in Raid 2 is amazing. But man, the 2 brothers against that one bad guy at the end of Raid 1 is just amazing. Trying to think if there's anything else that really pops in my head, but those are definitely some of the ones that really stick out. Jet Li, probably Fist of Legend, which is a remake of the Chinese Connection from Bruce Lee. I think the final fight in that is also amazing. I love good martial arts movies, man, but you got to deliver at the end. You can have a lot of good fights, but that last fight has to be, that's the main event. And
that's the pinnacle.
Yeah, I think Jet Li's Fist of Legends is probably his best fight of any film. So yeah, those are probably the ones that pop in my head. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm missing.
Karate Kid, obviously.
Yeah, Karate Kid's great, but it's like the Valley Karate.
It's watered down compared to the ones that
you watch Jackie Chan, Jet Li, and those guys are doing things that most humans can't do. Van Damme has never been a great martial artist. He's just has great physicality to him. That's probably my favorite Van Damme martial arts movie. Oh man, I guess Bloodsport maybe. Yeah, I like Time Cop the best, but it's not even a great martial arts movie. It's just a cool sci-fi film. Seagal, barely does martial arts. She just throws people around. Donnie Yen is awesome too. But Donnie Yen, IP, the IP Man movies are something a lot of people love, and I think the first one's really cool. I haven't seen all the sequels, but I remember Donnie Yen. I really enjoyed him in the Shanghai Nights, where he had that final fight with Jackie Chan. Yeah. I thought that was a really cool fight with the fireworks behind him. I thought visually it was just really cool, and it's good to see Jackie Chan and him fight. Karate Kid, shout out, let's go. And the last thing I'll say is Forbidden Kingdom, when Jackie Chan and Jet Li finally got to face off against each other. Now half the fight looks like it's done with stunt doubles. They're older at that point. You can tell it's not you kind of wish you could see them in their prime. It's kind of like when Expendables happened. You got to see Arnold and Stallone in their 60s being an action movie. But imagine if those two did a movie in the 80s. Imagine 80s Jet Li and 80s Jackie Chan. That would have been amazing. I wish it happened. But hey, Jackie Chan does get his neck broken by Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon.
Wow, there you go. One
of the random thugs that Bruce Lee's fighting is a very, very young Jackie Chan.
Yeah, it's a very young
So
it's for movie history there, trivia there.
Yeah, some good trivia. It's literally Jackie Chan comes in, Bruce Lee gets his neck by the hair or something, and then the camera pushes into Bruce Lee, so you just hear the neck break. You don't actually see it. And I believe that was Jackie Chan as a young stuntman.
Wow, there you go. Mm-hmm. It's like finding out that Sam Rockwell was in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Isn't that beautiful?
Is the main thug with the I was watching.
Not even the main thug. He was just one of the thugs.
No, he's one of the main ones that talks to Splinter and Casey Jones. He's the one who says, "Let him go," kind of. He's like, "Hey man, you can't just leave." So he's not the main thug, but he's one of the main kids.
He gets a line. He's a
he gets a line. I also was watching Band of Brothers. I've been rewatching it, and I forgot Sam Rockwell's in that too. But there's a lot of amazing people in that show.
Oh man, Sam Rockwell. Fun guy. We love his work.
I love Guy from Galaxy Quest.
I love him as Erwin in G-Force.
Wow, G-Force! Holy shit!
I don't think we don't have time to get into my love for G-Force. We got to jump over to.
I think there was martial arts in that also.
Yeah.
You're darn right.
All right, more questions.
So we have from Justin T. goes, with Amazon buying MGM, What do you think it will mean for the franchises there, like James Bond and Rocky?
I mean, the Rocky series, I just want a 4K Blu-ray. That's all I care about. I know they'll throw on streaming probably. I just want a physical 4K. That's all I want, MGM. I don't know if Amazon will do that. They don't release too many Blu-rays, so it's probably bad news for me. I think for them, it's Amazon is just it's just another property for them to hold on to. James Bond, they have not full control. I think full control still belongs to the main producers, but now they're like, it's like 49-51 or something like that. It's the streaming wars. It's going on. Apple, apparently was trying to buy them, and Amazon just gave them a little bit more money. And apparently they only get the back catalog up to like 1985 or something like that. They don't get everything before that. So they only get half the Rocky movies. I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of that will get explained more once the deal goes through and everything goes through. But for me, just give me a Rocky collection 4K. Indiana Jones is coming out this Tuesday on 4K. Give me a Rocky. Give me a Rocky collection, please.
There you go.
Simple man, simple needs.
Simple man, simple needs.
So we're getting a link for the fight tonight as well.
Yep.
GorillaFit.com/H2 for fun.
The last question we have here is from Drunken Prayer goes, and he is from the UK, so he doesn't know American football really well.
Okay.
Are the Patriots basically the equivalent of Manchester United or something? I don't know anything about American football, but it feels like they're the team everyone hates unless they're a fan of them. Like hating the Patriots is the only thing every other football fan agrees on.
Yeah, it was the Cowboys throughout the 90s and early 2000s. Everyone hated the Cowboys. It was America's team. But the Patriots kind of took over that mantle. The Cowboys are still very popular, don't get me wrong. But I think you can no longer call them America's team. I don't think any football dynasty had a run like the Patriots had in the past 20 years. To have 6 Super Bowls, they went, I think, 8 times, lost twice. So they won 6, yeah. So I think they went 8 times. Then Brady went to the Super Bowl for the 9th time, I think, with Tampa and won it. Listen, I don't know much about Manchester. The all I know from over there is what I get from Ted Lasso. And if you actually go to the Ted Lasso original commercial, he actually goes through all the teams. And I think he says Manchester United, and I think here says Cowboys or Patriots. So I'll have to go back and watch it. But listen, it happened in the 90s with Chicago Bulls. Everyone just got sick of Jordan winning all the time. Anytime somebody wins, people get bored. They want to see new winners, and they start hating. So I'm
with
curious,
LeBron now too.
Yeah, with LeBron. Like, I'm curious if with Brady gone and winning in Tampa, if people still feel that way about Patriots, because I know Belichick is still there, and the Belichick is definitely half of that dynasty. So I'm curious if they still feel that way, or if we'll see. This next year is gonna be really interesting.
It'll be interesting for your Patriots, interesting for my Dolphins. Let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, Dolphins are looking good. Go Giants. Where's Sean? Why is he never on the show? bring the engineer in, man. Yeah. I know what it's like to be an engineer behind the scenes.
He chooses not to come on. He always pops on just to try and be more right than us about his picks for the week. Mm-hmm. So you'll see him probably in a second. But dear, we love you, Sean.
Yeah, he's the one I talk to when I'm leading up to the show. I'm like,
yeah, he's the one.
That's fair. So any Oh, that's it. Well, then it sounds like we got to jump on over to our Discord, Patreon, actual faces that are here. And I said Discord because he already asked a Discord question because he loves this show so much, and we love him. Guys, welcome back. I predicted it. I was right. Chris, a.k.a. Drunken Prayer, is back with another live question. How you doing, dude?
I'll just keep betting against me. Why don't you?
I feel like you would know about Manchester.
JT, we can get Boggs and Sol off the screen, and we can just keep you, me, and John get the Boggs together here.
I love it.
Anyway, I completely forgot my question there.
Oh no!
Where are you from? First of all, Drunken Prayer.
Scotland.
Scotland, okay.
Hence the Manchester United question, but we don't bring up Scottish football because that's a whole other kettle of fish.
Gotcha. Have you seen the film So I Married an Axe Murderer?
Yes.
I love that movie.
Several times.
It's so great. I learned a Scottish martial arts. It's called fuck you. It's mainly just headbutting and kicking. I think that's the line from the movie.
If you want a really good British film to watch, a film called Dead Man's Shoes.
Oh yeah.
Is that the Johnny Depp one?
Paddy Constantine.
Okay.
And Toby
I'm trying
Jones.
to think if I've seen any Scottish films. I think I've seen some Irish films.
Yeah,
James Bond. Yeah, that's true. He's Scottish. The Wind That Shakes the Barley. Have anybody seen this? It's with
I know the name.
It's with Cillian Murphy. It's about like the IRA, so it's Irish. But it's a great film that takes place.
Does he go like he starves himself in prison, right, or something?
No. That sounds like Hunger with Michael Fassbender.
It is Hunger. Yeah.
The One That Shakes the Barley. It's a really great kind of like, Cillian Murphy, who was just in Quiet Place 2, who's just an amazing actor. It's shot in the olden days, kind of like the beginning of the IRA. It's a really good movie. Check it out. Scottish movies, you got Highlander. Half the movie takes place in Scotland, I believe.
Oh, okay, I'm out now. Fuck it. the movie that starts with like a 15-minute scene of a guy doing backflips through a fucking parking garage.
Oh my god!
I never realized how stupid that film was till I watched it a week ago, and I was like,
"Really?
I love this film, but this is so stupid."
I'm excited for the remake, man. I think that movie is due for a remake, and I think Henry Cavill and the director John Wick 1, 2, and 3. Come on.
Oh, if you want a good Scottish film, Kess. It's about a boy and his young falcon.
Oh, what's it called?
Kess. Is it Kess?
Kess.
Yeah, it's Kez.
Boggs will help me out here.
Yeah, it's Kez. It's like an old British Dutch from 70s or something. I think they used to show us in school. Like,
okay.
Yeah, it's like an old.
It's
Boggs, are you in Scotland too? What's going on?
No,
he's Manchester.
I'm in England.
School, England. Okay.
Yeah. Fair enough. Before you cut away from this wonderful Scottish talk, any final question you have for JTE, real quick?
Never actually got to the question. Sorry.
It's all right. That's why I'm here, dude. That's why I'm here.
I'm always taking over. Sorry.
So the real question is, how does it feel teaming up with an old rival in John Roca? Because we know you two were bitter rivals. How does it feel to be on the same team?
It wasn't that big of like a decision. Honestly, I respect my enemy. I know my enemy as well as my friends because you want to beat him, so you study him so hard. And I always thought, no disrespect to Matt Nose, but I always thought Roca was a stronger opponent of that team. So I mean, Nose doesn't even play anymore. I think he just, bowed out, and Roca has shown he's won the belt. He's done something I never done, which is won the singles belt. I've come close, but I never actually pulled it off. So for me, I think what really interested me is because I knew him so well as my enemy, I knew his strengths and my strengths were really kind of opposite in a lot of ways. So I figured as a team, we're really going to have some strengths. I mean, we'll see where we're at the end of the year. I won't say it's better or worse than when I played with Jeff. It's different. Like, I know obviously me and Jeff had the belts for a year, but Roca is just different. Same thing with Lon. I was team with Lon for a little bit. It's different. Obviously me and Jeff have the best record ever. No one's held the belts for more than a year. But yeah, I'm hoping we'll have the belts end of this year too with Roca.
There you go. Fair enough, Drunken Prayer. Thank you so much for the question. And of course. And no JTE, we can't thank you enough for once again coming on now 2 different times, talking about some incredible performances. We're so thankful that you are back in this game, and we're so excited to see what you've got cooking up next, whether it be against Liz Shannon Miller or Jeff Snyder. That leads us to our final little segment on the show where we just kind of turn the floor over to our guests. Maybe they feel like cutting a promo. Maybe they don't. I'm not here to put that pressure on you. I'm just here to say if you've got anything you feel like you got to get off your chest when it comes to the Schmoedown, the floor is officially yours.
I'm just going to give you some movie recommendations.
Fair, yeah.
I'm going to talk about some underappreciated films. The Lookout with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think, is a great film with Jeff Daniels. I think it's a film from one of the writers of Memento, who actually I think also directed. Check that movie out if you haven't seen it. It's a great film. Dark City is a movie I feel like doesn't get talked about enough. A lot of people say it's like The Matrix before The Matrix. Watch Dark City. Roger Ebert called it a masterpiece of like set design, storytelling, and just like overall production. He actually has an audio commentary on the Blu-ray where Roger Ebert just talks about the movie from the beginning to end. I think it's fantastic. It'll make you appreciate the movie on a whole nother level. I just love watching movies and I like talking about films that sometimes don't get the talk they deserve, I think sometimes. John Woo's Bullet in the Head. Everyone talks about The Killer Hard Boiled. I think John Woo's Bullet in the Head might be his best film. I think The Killer might still edge it out, but Bullet in the Head is very different and has some great set pieces. It's like a Vietnam movie meets like Stand By Me, but with teenagers. So if that doesn't sound awesome, I think you should check it out. That's it.
There you go. Wow. Fair enough, dude. Thank you
There's
so
some
much.
movies on my list now.
Mhm.
Yeah, truly. Everybody log on to Letterboxd right now. Add those to your
Add
watch
'em.
list. Real quick, dude, thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to plug of you personally? Not other, than some
No.
great movie racks, but
Yeah.
just where you are.
Just hit me up on Twitter, JTE Movie Thinks. There you go. It's right there. Boom.
There it is. Sean, God bless you, knowing when to plug that. Thank you so much. dude,
And
for
I'll say
coming.
this: next, I will come on the show again if Sean is on the show.
Wow. How about
So
that?
I'm gonna leave this. There he
Right here.
is.
Right
Yeah,
here.
baby. Next time I come on, I want you on the whole time.
Okay,
Wow.
deal.
And
There
I
you
want
go.
the green screen background will be of my choice.
Oh, okay.
And I'll let
Okay.
you know what it's going to be next time I come on.
Okay. Okay.
I love this game.
So
I
I'll
love
let you
this
know
game
ahead of
a
time.
whole
Don't
lot.
worry.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right.
Hell yeah, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. We will see you next time. Thank you so much.
JT.
Thanks,
and
guys.
Sean, thank you, dude. Have a lovely rest of your Saturday.
Thank you again,
Thanks,
JT.
No problem, guys.
And,
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. And we got to talk about, now that Sean is on the screen,
Yes,
what
yes.
we've got now for next week. Once again, 5 different matches. Just real quick looking at the faction standings. Both Finstock and Dungeon still securing their number 1 and 2 spots. The Den managing to stay competitive, obviously, with those 3 points with Thomas Harper, and we'll see where that leads them if they get a tournament win and a belt shot. Like, that could be huge. And unfortunately, usual suspects not able to move too far up the ranks, but now sitting at second to last as opposed to last, which poor swag, drip. But yeah, we're here to talk about the 5 matches of this week, starting with Zach Burkett of the Stars going up against Gold Leader.
Wait, we gotta say our standings first, though.
Oh, we don't.
John
we don't have to.
conveniently misses that part. doesn't he?
No,
He misses it each
I'm
time.
sure we covered it. People have some number
There's
of
no
points.
reason that he wants to skip it, but he
Zach
just-
Burkett of the Stars.
Really quick. Really
Wait,
quick.
wait,
Just really
wait.
quick.
John now is in the 30s, so he's gotten up. He's in last place with 31 points. Colin with 32 points. Myself with 37 points, and then we have Sean with 40 points, and Bog still in the lead with 42 points.
So good, John. But carry on, please.
Right.
I just
Zach
thought you froze
Burkett.
there for a second.
No, I'm just melting. From Sadness, Zach Burkett of the Stars going up against Gold Leader of the Finstock Exchange. This is an interesting one to call, but I'll lead it off. When it comes to rookies fighting rookies, that's the Finstock Exchange's bread and butter right now. And I definitely think Zach Burkett, being somebody that is very close with Alex Damon, as it would seem, at least from that previous promo, Burkett, I could definitely imagine pulling out an upset. But right now, we've got Gold Leader, who's coming off of not just a regular, regulation Star Wars match, but then also what I consider to be a surprising win over Marie Wilson. So I'm going to have to go with Gold Leader this time around. I'll bounce it over to Sean now that he's here on screen. Who do you have?
I think Gold Leader, he's been very impressive in his 2 wins, so I'm just going to think he's going to play Thomas Harper at the end of next week, so I'm going to go with Gold Leader.
There you go. Soul, how about you?
I'm also going with Gold Leader. He upset Marie, so I'm going with Gold Leader.
There you go. And Boggs, how about you?
Same, basically. He's not missed so far. 2-0, gone perfect both matches. I think, well, to be fair, Zach's only played 1 match, but I just think he's looking really good, and I predict him against Harper in the final on Friday.
There you go. And we're actually going to probably talk a little bit about that, depending on who's feeling ready to call that one. But first, we got to talk about Clee Wiggins going up against Sabrina Ramirez. 2 people that I think kind of got pretty short ends of the stick when it came to last year, not getting a lot of play time. Clee getting only 1 match against the Barbarian, of all people. And then Sabrina only kind of getting plugged in for that first match in the singles tournament. So I'm really interested to see how these 2 perform, especially since Clee is coming off of the win in the Black Cinema exhibition match. I'll toss it over to Sean first. Who do you have winning this match?
That's the exact same point I was going to bring up about the Black Exhibition match. She did a great showing. She was behind. She came back. So I'm just going to pick Klee for winning this one.
There you go. That's a solid pick. Soul, who do you have?
For the exact same reasons that Sean said, I'm going with Klee.
There you go. Boggs, who do you have winning this match?
I'm also going for Klee. No, because you win in that kind of match. That means to me, she's obviously with black cinema. That doesn't define how many genres that is. So that means she's well versed in a lot of genres. So I think for me, she kind of has a little bit more experience. So I'm going to go with her, Klee, for the win.
That's very fair. All well reasoned. I will say this time around, I will be the one to break the sweep. I'm going to say Sabrina Ramirez. I think as someone that got, a little bit more of a chance to shine in singles particularly, I think she might be a little bit more well-versed in singles. And obviously, that's because Klee had to go up against, one of the latest superstars in singles. And I definitely think y'all are correct that Klee definitely knows her stuff. I don't think this will be a wipeout. I think this is going to be going down to those 5-pointers. But I'm going to edge it over to Sabrina Ramirez, especially now that she's, kind of been able to switch up factions, get a new lease. We've seen what Koi is able to do with Finstock refugees, considering that he got Demolanta to a Star Wars belt. So I like Sabrina's chances. But we're going to move on.
Not a bad pick.
Yeah, but both are great. It's going to be a good match. I don't want to hear any fuss as we talk about the third match of the week. Doug Benson. Guys, Doug loves movies, and now he's going to remember them on the Schmoedown, going up against Chris Van Vliet of the Dungeon. It's a Suspects versus Dungeon match, the second-to-last faction going up against the number one faction. Maybe that's coloring my opinion, but I kind of think Chris Van Vliet is going to take this one. I love Doug. I know he loves movies, but I don't know if he loves studying and rules. We'll see. Boggs, how about you? Who do you think is going to win this one?
I was actually looking for a coin because I have no idea. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie. I do not know who Chris Van Vliet is. I don't know what he looks like. Benson, so I'll go with him. He seems more familiar. I'm aware of his YouTube stuff, so I'll go with him.
There you go. Soul, who do you have?
I have no idea who Chris is, and because I know who Doug Benson is.
Does anyone know?
I did in fact look him up. He does. He also does kind of like interviews and such on his YouTube channel, particularly when it comes to wrestling personas.
Oh, okay.
So I know who Doug Benson is, and then also I think Sam has done really well with The Usual Suspect this year, even though he's not up the higher in the ranking. He's still done really well compared to last year, so I'm gonna go with him.
A very fair point, to be sure. Yeah, definitely not trying to slag Sam Levine all too hard. Sean, you are the last up to give their picks. Who do you have for this?
I'm with Boggs. I have no idea who either of these two people are, but I think this isn't the best way to pick, but considering how well the Dungeon's doing and they're preparing their players, I'm just going to pick with Chris for that reason alone.
There you go. Fair. I definitely would encourage anybody who doesn't know Doug Benson.
It's me and Boggs together and you two together, so we've separated.
That's fine.
That's true. Definitely check out Doug Loves Movies. There's at least a couple episodes with Mark Ellison there. There are a few. Sam Levine is a constant person on that podcast. Yeah, check it out. It's a good, fun time, as is going to be the next two matches that we have to talk about. Or maybe 1.5, depending on how deep we want to get into the Star Wars match, but Chandru Dandapani going up against Robert Parker. This is where the first faction and the last faction are going up against each other. And honestly, I feel like this could be the most contentious number one contenders match in Inner Geekdom history, next to Kalinowski and Smets. This one feels like it's going to be very high intensity, with Chandru trying to prove that he belongs up there in the names of the great Inner Geekdom players like Kalinowski, Rachel Cushing, Kevin Smets, and now Mara Knopik. Whereas Robert Parker is trying to prove that he's every bit the well-touted and highly drafted rookie that he was last year, getting his revenge over Chance Ellison now trying to get himself at an actual title shot. I'll bounce it over to you first, Boggs. Who do you have winning this match?
I don't pick against Chandru. I've just seen less I don't know. Although Parker has an excellent accuracy, I just feel like I've seen more mistakes from Parker. In terms of key points in a match. I don't know. I just think Chandra's more experienced. Bit of a must win for Chandra as well to stay in the title conversation. After that, because people thought he struggled with the new iteration of IG a little bit, even though I think he just missed 2 questions and went to multiple choice 1, something like that. But yeah, I love a good underdog, and I'm going for Chandra.
There you go. Fair enough. Soul, who do you have winning this match?
First, I don't go against Chandru in any match. And second, swag, drip, drip, Chandru all the way.
There you go. A quick 1-2 rationale. I dig it. Sean, who do you have winning this one?
I have to agree with Boggs and Soul here. It's hard to go against Chandru. He's had a long time to get adjusted to the new category. So I think with that type of prep time, and I just think he sounded hungry when he was on the show last time about getting that belt back. So he's just 1 match away from going up against Mike. So I think Parker is going to give him a really good match. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes to a 5-pointer or sudden death, but I think Chandra's going to pull it out.
Oh, man. This is a tough one for me to call because in my head, I'm kind of thinking Robert Parker, right? Because I think right now Robert Parker is kind of the one more on the warpath. I agree with what Chance was saying when he was just on, that kind of Parker is on the upslope right now. But also, part of me just really, really wants to see Kalinowski versus Dondapani.
Yeah,
part of me really wants to see what's going to happen when those two, in particular, kind of duke it out. In the same way that it was incredible to see Kalinowski and Bateman get their shots at each other. Oh man!
Join us, John. Join us.
Honestly, I'm gonna have to agree with Chance. I'm gonna be a sweet breaker. I'm gonna vote for Robert Parker.
Damn it.
But I'm not gonna be mad either way. And
but we're sorry, Chandru. We are so sorry, Chandru.
Hey, Chandru,
we're here for you.
If it's any consolation, even if I'm right and my crazy gamble paid off, I'm just gonna be slightly less behind every single other person on the show.
Well, I think we'll all win by getting a good match. I think that's the guarantee that we'll all get a good match. So
we just know who actually loves Chandru here and who doesn't.
Wow. Hey, guys, 5th and final match to talk about, depending on how much y'all feel comfortable calling it, is going to be the final match of the Star Wars tournament. Thomas Harper going up against someone, whether that be Zach Burkett or Gold Leader. It's a little bit hard to say. So I'm going to ask you right now, and it's okay if you feel like you can't call it. We can always pick each other's picks and post them up when we actually know what happens between Zach Burkett and Gold Leader. But do you feel like you're ready to call this tournament?
I'm ready. Thomas Harper.
There you go. Said with confidence, and he's not even a SWAG member. Sean, how about you? Do you feel like you're ready to call it?
Oh, absolutely. Thomas Harper. It doesn't matter who. I think he's going to end up playing Gold Leader, but I think Thomas Harper's winning no matter who he goes up against.
There you go. Boggs, do you feel like it's that zipped up as well?
Yeah, it missed me out. I'll put straight. No, but I don't think he's clear favorite, whoever he plays, to be honest. So yeah, no doubt Harper.
I mean, I definitely think it's going to be a match. I think we're in for another sudden death match regardless. I want to make sure we give our love to Zach Burkett and we give our love to Gold Leader when all of us officially say this is Thomas Harper's tournament. Like, as much as Gold Leader has been surprising coming up with the other Finstock Exchange rookies, I feel like Thomas Harper is just too cold-blooded. This man is dressed as a member of the army of the bad guys. Do you understand? He didn't come up dressed up in like the cool Han Solo jacket. He didn't come decked out in some Jedi Order robes. He came as specifically a member of the Empire Army. This man does not care about you or your feelings. It's going to be Thomas Harper. And with that, Sean, thank you so much for giving your picks alongside us as we say goodbye to you and then say goodbye to the audience.
And then JTE, I will be a man of my word. If next time you're on, I'll be on with you.
There we go. This is the second time I think today that I've mentioned, like, we just got to get that picture of me from the show going like, ugh, and then just make that as back, blow it completely up.
Sure.
Like a Sam
I'm going to tweet JTE with that picture because I had that picture saved, and that needs to be the picture.
Oh, we all have it saved. That's good. I'm glad we're all on the same page as we close the page in the book on this episode of the Ultimate Schmoedown Aftershow. And isn't that sweet? Isn't that a fun way to close the show? I want to thank all of you for
Very gentle.
watching. Of course, yeah. No, hey, it's Saturday night. Some of you got to go to bed. Shh, sleeping. Good night, Moon. As we say good night, I want to remind everybody, hey, if you love this show, please consider joining the Patreon, patreon.com/John Roca. That's how we got our Discord questions. That's how we got our in-person questions, sort of digitally. So we'd love to see you over there. Also, be sure to check out streamlabs.com/The-Ultimate-Schmoedown-Show. Send us some lovely messages during the chat, as well as the super chats that we got a couple of this week, and we're always very happy to see. And then, again, just remember, like the video, leave a comment once it's fully up so you can say something nice about Bugs and Soul, because I got far too much love this past week. I appreciate it, but let's make sure we remember the real stars of the show here. All right? And speaking of Soul, thank you so much. Is there anything you want the people to check out?
Yeah, just keep writing comments, because then I get to read them out loud, and I love seeing all the comments down here. And then, yeah, go check the Pop Culture Universe YouTube channel. Boggs and I are doing Bad Batch reviews. We're also doing trailer reactions over there, so go check it out.
There you go. Boggs, how about you? Anything to plug?
Yep, same thing. Pop Culture Universe. But yeah, thanks everyone for the. We didn't get any super chat Streamlabs. Thanks everyone in the chat for watching. You've been really cool. Thanks for Rocha. Thanks to JTE. Thanks to Chance. Another 5 matches next week. Rolling this. So everyone hit that like button. And like Saul saying, just wait for 1 minute whilst we're done and drop a comment on, and you'll get shouted out next episode. So appreciate you all and see you next week.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you to everyone watching. Go ahead. Just leave those comments. I'd be remiss to not also plug the social media handles of our fourth host, who is not with us today, Colin Morris, @the_C Morris at Twitter and Instagram. Either of those places you could find him. As for me, John Barr Tweets on Twitter and Instagram. Also, if you like comedy, if you maybe like my face and voice, I'm hosting a show over on the Pack Theaters Twitch tomorrow night, Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you got an approximate hour, come check me out there. If not, all good. We'll see you next week to talk about another great week of Schmoedown play. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your night, and we'll see you next time. And then a funny bit about, we're not actually done yet, but we're still live. Oh, gosh.
I'm still internally laughing at that video that you sent me earlier.
Oh, thank you.
That was very funny.
Folks,